All right, thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Irvine International Academy regular scheduled board meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 10th. The time is 6 o'clock. Meeting location is 4782 Karen Ann Lane, Irvine, California, 92604. We may have someone calling in via teleconference. Their address is 6833 Buswell Street, Richmond, British Columbia, V6YOL 3 Canada. Okay, I'd like to start with roll call, please. Starting with Molly.
Present.
Felipe.
Present.
Brett is present. David.
Present.
Miller. Absent. Okay, next, I'd like to move to the approval of the agenda for the regular meeting of the Irvine International Academy Board of Directors on June 10, 2025. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Irvine International Academy Board of Directors on today, June 10, 2025. Is there a motion?
I'll motion. So
Thank you, Felipe. Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Okay, next we'll move to community input on closed session agenda items. Members of the public may comment on items listed on the closed session agenda only. Public comments, including email comments, should be limited to 3 minutes per comment with up to 20 minutes of public comment. Do we have any public comments on closed session agenda items?
We do, we have one.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on Executive Director Public Employee Evaluation. On June 22nd, 2024, our community was afforded the opportunity to hear from Mr. Doug Hewson, the written one-page board narrative for the Executive Director Employee Evaluation. In the spirit of integrity and transparency, it is my hope that the public will be afforded the same opportunity today or at a subsequent board meeting to hear the narrative for Dr. Kernan's end-of-year employee evaluation. I am taking this opportunity to share my feedback on Dr. Kernan's performance. Dr. Kernan stepped into her role last July with big shoes to fill and high expectations from our community. I would like to recognize and give her credit for her efforts in upholding the strong reputation of our school as one of the top performing in the state and in Orange County. I credit her for being approachable and maintaining an open door policy. I praise her for the improvements she has made to the board meeting agendas and for posting a look ahead schedule on the topics that will be covered at each board meeting. I appreciate her support of the board and allowing for members of our community to submit public comments via email to be read aloud during the meeting. I want to thank her and all of you for making the adjustment to the timing of the general public comments, allowing for greater public participation and the understanding that it can be a sacrifice for members of our community to rearrange their schedules to stay all the way until the end of the meeting to share general public comments. While there are positives to celebrate, and I wish Dr. Kernan well on her journey into retirement, I would like the record to reflect the challenges our community has faced under her leadership that we hadn't experienced to such a degree in the past 2 years. The decision to grow enrollment beyond what the IIA board had approved June 18, 2024, beyond what our charter stipulates at full enrollment, and beyond what had been an established fiscal tipping point was irresponsible. It appears this decision was made without being fully vetted by the board and was made for the sake of bringing in extra revenue that comes with increased enrollment. The decision was made with a high level of confidence that IIA would be granted early apportionment of state funds to reap the benefit of increased enrollment in the fall, as opposed to having to wait until spring. This proved to be a short-sighted, risky proposition which did not have a robust contingency plan. When early apportionment from the state was denied in the fall, in a period where we were supposed to have been cash flow positive, had we just adhered to the June 18, 2024 IIA board approved plan due to the excellent fiscal management of our previous executive director, we were abruptly and unexpectedly faced with the need to borrow urgently for fear of not being able to make payroll. Subsequent loans were then warranted to pay off the urgently borrowed money during a period where we shouldn't have had a need to borrow at all. This is a situation that could have been avoided had the IIA board just adhered to their approved plan. If there is any question about this being a conspiracy, my source for this information is part 2 of the June 22nd, 2024 IIA board meeting, along with the fiscal statements publicly available from the 23-24 school year. The fiscal and enrollment decisions made by Dr. Kernan caused strain to our community and warranted the entire field trip budget of $48,000 to be redirected to support more pressing fiscal needs. As a result, the parents and PTO had to shoulder more of the burden than we expected and then in years past, leaving a bitter taste in some of our mouths. It cannot be stated in good faith that our students receive the same high-quality experience this year as in years past, given the information I just shared. My desire is for this to be discussed in public forum, but instead it is downplayed, minimized, and Dr. Kernan's success in fiscal management celebrated. How are you able to reconcile that with the facts I just shared? I sincerely thank you for taking this into consideration as you finalize her performance evaluation. I welcome the opportunity to meet with any of you individually to talk about this in detail. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll move to closed session for discussion of possible action, where we will do a public employee evaluation of the executive director.
Okay, thank you all for your patience. We are reconvening at 6:50 p.m.
Okay, so we were able to complete the executive director's end of year evaluation. I would like to provide some comments on this. The evaluation rubric is based on 5 key areas. The first is related to academic achievement, which is tied to our LCAP Goal 1, school climate, which is tied to our LCAP Goal 2, organizational leadership and fiscal management, parent support and engagement, which is tied to LCAP Goal 3. And the final is development, partnerships, growth, and expansion. So these were defined at the beginning of the year, and then we had a mid-year review, and then we just completed the end of year review. What I can say, the vast majority of these have been completed successfully by Dr. Kernan. There are a couple of pending items. We are still waiting on results, which probably going to take still a few more months. But I think what we can agree on amongst ourselves is that something broke this year, where we clearly defined opportunities for improvement. I think there's more being demanded of all of us, including with the ED, but ourselves as board. That more communication with our stakeholders is critical, and that any of the areas that have been identified for improvement do get implemented in the next evaluation rubric for our executive director. And we will continue to improve as an organization. We continue to support each other. That means administration, the staff, the parents, the children, the families, the community. And we will strive to do that. That is all I had to report out on the closed session agenda item. Moving next is to the flag salute. Do you have any volunteers? Otherwise, I'm happy to lead. Please rise. Flag is to your right or left. Please put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, next we'll move to community input on agendized and non-agendized items. One point here before, we had differentiated the community input on agendized items versus non-agendized items. The agendized items being at the front of the meeting here, non-agendized items being at the back of the meeting, and they have now been combined together in this section. The public may comment on items listed on the agenda, including the consent calendar, presentation, discussion, committee, and action items. The public may also comment on items not listed on the agenda that are within the legal purview of the board of directors. We do ask that you try to keep your public comments to 3 minutes or less, please. Do we have any public comments?
We do. I'll call one at a time and that one are received.
Okay.
For the people that are here.
Thank you.
So first we have Shishang Chen.
So June 1st, PTO as a barbecue. We invite all the board members and school leadership team to join. A lot of PTO board members, thank you. And we feel like at the end of the year, we want to come here to say thank you all for all the work you did. And thank you so much. But before that, Stacy is the vice president of PTO, and I'm the current president of PTO. So Stacy has to leave earlier. May I ask to read the Stacy's comment first, and then I make my own comment? Okay, so Grant is going to read for Stacy. It's okay? Hold on.
Read it.
Stacy, Grant will read it. Yeah, can I ask Grant, do you want me to read for Stacy?
Or
No,
Stephanie I can read it.
Can you read it, please?
Let me-
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, Stacy Cohn was here. She did leave and she gave me a typed piece of her comment. My name is Stacy Cohn. My two daughters have attended IIA since year one. I have served on the PTO board for the last 3 years, and this past year, I served as vice president. I will be passing the baton to another capable parent this coming year. But before I go, as vice president of the PTO, I want to extend our heartfelt thanks to the entire IIA board for your unwavering dedication and tireless work in supporting our school community. Your leadership and vision have created a positive and enriching environment that benefits every student. We are especially grateful for the middle school teachers whose passion and commitment have truly made a difference in our children's learning journeys. My 8th grade daughter is now transitioning to high school, and I can confidently say she has been well prepared by the middle school curriculum. I also look forward to my younger daughter, an incoming 6th grader, having the opportunity to learn and grow in such a supportive and inspiring environment. Thank you.
All right, so I made my own comment, 3 minutes. So specifically, I never come to the board meeting. One of the reasons that the kids has homework, now I don't have homework. You don't have homework, I can come. But I do, every time I know your board meeting is long, you guys like sacrifice your time. I know Felipe did so much for the school. David doesn't have to be here. Brett did a lot, Marty did a lot. So personally, I want to say thank you for all the time you contribute. It doesn't go unnoticed. Many parents, we appreciate you. We also appreciate Amy and Grant for their leadership. I have been communicating to them on representative PTO. We work together on a lot of issues. And I find that they are so easy to talk to, and they did a lot for the school too. So we appreciate you. And I know in quietness, you guys didn't make too loud a voice, but you have accomplished a lot. And I know many times I can easily walk to your office, Amy and Grant, and anyone. And you said no to me a lot of things too. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But I know you did a lot, very experienced, so we appreciate you. And my kids and many of our PTO kids, they are doing very well at school. So we are really grateful to you. So just one word for Stephanie, who is going to take over. So we support you, PTO and many parents. We support the school. We want the best of the school. We love IIA. Okay, that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next public comment is Tiffany Kraft.
Hello again, and thank you for this opportunity. I want to make it very clear that I have nothing but love in my heart for this school and this community. On May 7th, Ms. Ann Lilly and I escalated our concerns about IIA operations, not IIA teachers, to the county board level. We had spun our wheels following the proper internal channels. On May 20th, we were effectively punished for exercising our basic rights in the form of retaliation. During the IIA board meeting, 3 teacher comments were anonymously read into the public record by Dr. Kernan. Those comments, 2 of which exceeded the 2-minute threshold enforced up to that point, named me and Miss Lily by name, referring to us as obstructors and disruptors, stating that we create a toxic and hostile environment for IIA staff. These are the facts. All 3 of the teachers taught our children, who were in 5th and 6th grade. The first teacher comment alleged that I caused disruption by entering the classroom without authorization during state testing, despite clear signage indicating that testing was in progress and restricted to authorized personnel. Since October, at the request of this teacher specifically, I have been volunteering in the classroom every Tuesday morning from 9:50 a.m. to 10:30. I sign in through Raptor anytime I'm volunteering on campus, and I enter quietly with civility top of mind. I was never told not to come on Tuesday, May 13th. I don't recall seeing any signage on the classroom partition, and I left as soon as the teacher told me I wasn't needed that day. The comments from the second and third teacher are related. In late August, a parent came to me unsettled about the shift in school operations from prior year and asked me to arrange a meeting with Mr. Freeman for the concerns to be heard. School site council did not yet exist. 2 productive community feedback sessions ensued on August 30th and October 11th with PTO board member stakeholders present. Documentation was kept and a formal issues list created by Mr. Freeman, who directed me to dialogue with Dr. Kernan and the second teacher. That teacher willingly engaged and now alleges I undermined implementation of PBIS and selection of the word pride as the elementary school moniker. All record of my communications with teachers 2 and 3 seem to have abruptly vanished from Class Dojo, yet my communications with teacher 1 remain. Teacher 3 made a promise publicly in May 2024 that IIA culture would be preserved and protected in spite of leadership changes, a promise taken seriously by our community. Teacher 3 now alleges that I have been pushing a personal agenda and beliefs on the entire school community that undermine school authority. I held these 3 teachers in such high regard that I advocated for them to be supported in any forum I could throughout the school year. It's true, I have raised questions about the selection of a sex ed curriculum, but that was aimed at our administration, not the teachers. It's true, I initiated respectful dialogue with teacher 3 to better understand this teacher's experience administering a different sex ed curriculum last year. I kindly request of the IIA board that a formal communication be sent out publicly, clearing Miss Lily's and my name. May the truth behind what really motivated these comments be brought to light. And in closing, I ask for a meeting facilitated by administration between Ms. Lily, myself, and the teachers involved to take place so that we can all have closure and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next comment is Darren Parker.
I'll do this. I want to thank Brett because Brett took the time to meet with me one-on-one. I think it was productive. I wanted to talk about the OCE board meeting and the things that Trustee Valdez said. I heard his strong language at the end of that board meeting. And at the end of the meeting, the first thing I went to do was to talk to him. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I said to him. I said, those are strong words. And I believe, I told him how much I love the school, and I do love the school. I want to see this school go on for generations and generations and generations. I don't know of anybody that wants to shut down this school. And I said to him, everything that is happening right now, in my opinion, is correctable. And I truly believe that. I think any of these problems are correctable, but no problem is correctable unless you admit you have a problem first. So, that being said, I wanted to say that just briefly, I don't agree with the teacher retaliation, and I'm going to continue to mention that until I feel and others feel that it's been handled satisfactorily. So being that I love the school as much as I do, I wanted to just reach out to, I want to say I would never align myself with anybody that wants the school shut down. I don't know of anybody within this whole framework on either side of this that wants the school shut down. We wanted to survive and we wanted to thrive. And I want to reach out to any parent out there that's here tonight or board member that's here tonight or listening online or hears about this to approach me and ask me, And I would be happy to talk to them about any things that I think are going on in the school that can be corrected. I want to send that open invitation out. You guys have a green light to give anybody my contact information. Any parent that's associated with IIA, please talk to me about this. I will make time for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next comment is Valerie Telford.
My name is Valerie Telford. So thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I sincerely hope that my comment will not just be a soliloquy, but will be words that would lead to dialogue, lead to discussions, right, in a constructive way. But first, it cannot be left unsaid. I really want to extend my thanks and my appreciation for Brett and for Stephanie in terms of what you guys have done, the stride that you've done to reach out to people, reach out to parents in terms of the concerns and the time you spent having the dialogue, having the discussion. That cannot be left unsaid. And for that, kudos to both of them. Second, IIA is holding in his hand a magnificent innovation. And I want to say that the reason I'm here is for that. None of us, and none of them, including myself, is here to remove that. Because we really are like committed and really excited about IIS to provide. And I am a trilingual. I have 3 languages. I've born with 4 different cultures, and to provide my kids with this 4th one and 5th culture will be something that you have in your hands that can be really a pioneer of what's coming up into the world. The world is no longer a hegemony. It's going to be it's 2 worlds now, and I think this is something that is precious, and kudos on doing it. Nevertheless, right, there are still some questionable concerns that I have, right, in terms of the board and the administration what have been raised before, and lately probably some others, and I want to illustrate a little bit. So bullying takes different forms, right? So bullying can be cloaked into any different ways, right? You can be dishonest, you can be manipulative to others, you can spread rumors. That will erode trustworthiness, one of our pillars. You can be disrespectful, right? You can name call others. You can be physical aggressive or wordly aggressive. That will erode respect, right? You can act impulsively, right? We're not thinking. You can blame others for your mistakes. You can make excuses. That will erode responsibility. You can retaliate against parents. You can nurture inequality. You can create hostile environment. That will erode fairness. You can be indifferent, totally indifferent. Cruelty. You can enjoy the pain of others. That will erode caring. You can encourage hate, creating a false narrative. That will erode citizenship. These are our pillars. This is the thing we need to preserve. This is as is worthy for us to preserve. These are the things we should have jubilee. We should celebrate, because that will be the reward that I will give, your parents will give back for your great work. And that one is priceless. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more comment before we will be reading comments, and that is from Jenny Z.
And thank you for your contribution for the IIA, and thank you, Amy, and the new ED Stephanie, and also thank you, Mrs. Mister. Always give warm greeting when I see you. So before I will start my comment. My name is Jenny. I'm 5th grade parent, and I was a previous strategic kids after school program teacher. I stand here with my unbiased opinion. I want to express my concern regarding the recent decision to replace Strategic Kids with YMCA for our after-school program. First, the decision-making process lacked transparency and fairness. No parents' satisfaction survey was conducted. Strategic Kids was not given an opportunity to present a plan or negotiation for the upcoming school year. Most importantly, there was no open vendor selection process. Instead, it seems the new vendor was privately chosen without public review or presentation. I also want to share that the day before the February board meeting, I had a video call with the board member, Mr. Miller. I clearly explained my concern about replacing a program that we served our IIS school for 3 years and have been well received by families. Mr. Miller assumed me that Strategic Kids would be given a try. However, when the vote took place, again, no board member voiced any objections. None brought my opinion forward, and the change moved forward without future decisions. As a public school, every major decision, especially those that directly affect students' daily experience, should be granted in the principle that the best interest of the students comes first. If this principle truly guided the recent change, one, we would expect a clear explanation of how the new vendor provides stronger education outcomes or student support. Two, lower cost to parents. Three, a teacher-to-student ratio of 1 to 10. 4, enrichment-based program. I believe this will be fulfilled by Strategic Kids and are perhaps a great conductor for IIA stronger academic score. Instead, your solution seems to be higher costs, reduced introduction support with a teacher-to-student ratio to 1:20, and a shift from enrichment-based programming to basic daycare. Those changes do not reflect a student-first approach and do not seem to take parents' voice in account once again. This raises serious concerns about how and why the decision was made. We ask the board not to respond with general or scripted answers, but to address our concerns direct and honestly. Parents expect transparency and accountability from the board and the administration, especially when decisions impact our children's growth and well-being. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, I have quite a few comments to read out loud. I will only state the name if I was asked to state the name, just to make that clear as well. Okay, comment number 1. Number 1, volunteers. We got off to a very rocky start last fall because all previous years' PTO, classroom, and library volunteers were put on hold for over 2 months as new policies and decision as to new staff member overseeing volunteers was determined, and our volunteers dropped dramatically. Therefore, now that we have a new sign-in system in place, I recommend that the Community Outreach Director, Sai Sybil, be placed in charge because she's already doing the job informally and quite successfully. Number 2, library needs. In 2023-24, we had a well-developed library curriculum for all grades. taught by a credentialed teacher to teach the students how to use the library and act as a supplement to small group learning. No provision was made for the past year, and it took a full semester before I was able to train TAs to check books in and out of the library. Unfortunately, only teachers in grades 1 through 4 even attempted to bring their students to the library. Grades 5 through 8 also missed out on the advantages of verifying and citing their online research with vetted printed information in the library. Therefore, I request that a credentialed teacher be assigned part-time to deliver 20 minutes of story times and library assistance and monitor small groups or classes using the library when volunteers are not available. I also request that all students this coming year will have a regular classroom to attend at all hours, so the library need not be turned into just a game room when there is not enough space. Number 3, Tiffany Kraft. Tiffany Kraft has been the greatest supporter of the library I could have wished for. She is humble, discerning, technically skilled, and always pleasant to be around. She has been a joy in helping me connect with PTO parents, for book fairs and filling volunteer slots. She happily helps students using the library and as PTO treasurer has found funds for some of our desperate library furniture needs. When she doesn't understand something, she does the research ahead of time to find appropriate solutions. Number 4, classroom sizes. I would request that we keep classroom sizes the same as last year, not to exceed 30 to 32 students in grades 2 through 8, 20 in TK, 24 in K, and 28 in grade 1. If that means hiring additional teachers, then we also need 1 to 3 portable buildings for the middle school. Thank you. Next comment. Dear board members, principal, and director, I want to begin by acknowledging your dedication for your role, which comes with gratification and challenges alike. Yet you, Mr. Freeman, and Mr. Sun in particular, have handled it well during the healthy debate on topics of sex education curriculum. We are grateful that more lines of communication have opened and parent input are being valued. I encourage all the board members to continue with this open dialogue approach to rectify the error occurred during the May 20th board meeting, an issue that, if left unaddressed, could have significant consequences for the school. Taking steps to correct the error could help prevent further action by the OCBE and would demonstrate your commitment to transparency and fairness. As leaders of an educational institution, it's worth reflecting on a core principle. When there is a potential conflict between employees and the people they serve, our families, what is the most productive way to handle it? Public confrontation or private resolution? The events of May 20th, unfortunately, lean towards the former, with personal accusations aired in public setting rather than through structured, confidential discussion. This approach has exposed the organization and by extension its teachers to unnecessarily reputational and potential legal risks. While I fully support the right of teachers and staff to express concerns, that right does not extend to making substantiated claims or personal attacks. If any of the comments made publicly are later proven false, which will happen with Dr. Henry's fair investigation, the responsibility and consequences will inevitably fall on both the individuals and the institution that allowed the forum. If your goal is truly to serve IIA and ensure its charter renewal by OCBE and its stability, then you must take corrective action. That begins with a formal acknowledgement of the missteps at the May 20 meeting and a commitment to ensuring future meetings are conducted with good faith and rightful governance. I also strongly support OCBE's recommendation to appoint an additional parent to the board. That level of balance is not only overdue, it is essential. This is a defining moment. You can choose to double down on a divisive approach, or you can lead with humility, accountability, and respect for the community that trusted you with this responsibility. Next comment. I hope this message finds you well. Oh, I'm sorry. Dear Dr. Henry and school board members, I hope this message finds you well. I would like to submit the following public comment for today's school board meeting. I am writing to formally express deep concern regarding a teacher's conduct at IIA that I believe crosses critical professional and ethical boundaries, particularly in matters involving students. It has come to my attention that a teacher used science class time to encourage students to write anonymous complaints against another staff member. In a separate incident, the same teacher reportedly submitted a letter to the school board targeting a parent volunteer who had previously voiced concerns to the school and the authority. Taken together, these actions raise serious questions about retaliation, the misuse of classroom authority, and the inappropriate involvement of minors without proper counseling support. These incidents are alarming, especially within an educational environment where professionalism, neutrality, and student safety must be held to the highest standard. Why was instructional time diverted for activities unrelated to student learning? Encouraging students to participate in anonymous complaints during class time is not only educationally inappropriate, but may also have lasting emotional consequences. Given the age and impressionability of the students, involving them in such actions is coercive and places them in a morally complex situation they are not equipped to navigate. It undermines trust in the classroom and disrupts the respectful, secure environment that is essential for learning. Moreover, these actions have had a chilling effect on parent engagement. Now parents are hesitant to speak out for fear of potential retaliation against themselves or their children. No parent should feel that advocating for their child's education might put them or their child at risk. I respectfully and urgently request the following. Number one, a formal review of the teacher's conduct in these specific incidents. Number two, a clear statement from school leadership affirming that such use of instructional time and student involvement do not reflect school policy and are not condoned by the school. Number three, clarification of how similar situations will be prevented in the future to ensure a safe and focused learning environment for all students. With our new leadership, I believe that our school community can move toward transparency, accountability, and a stronger commitment to protecting student well-being. Sincerely, a concerned IIA parent. Subject. Comment on agenda item K, request for financial transparency. Dear Dr. Kernan, thank you for your service to the IIA community. Our family appreciates your dedication and wishes you the very best in your next endeavor. Likewise, Mr. Miller-Zhang, your longstanding commitment as the second longest serving board member following Mr. Freeman has not gone unnoticed. We thank you sincerely for your contributions to the school year over the years. To Dr. Henry and our remaining board members, I write today regarding agenda item K and would appreciate your response to the following questions. During the board meeting held on June 22nd, 2024, a financial projection was made at the 5-minute, 20-second mark, stating that the school would become cash positive in October of that year. As we now know, that projection was not realized. Since that time, the school has initiated additional loans, including one in June 2024, a crowdfunding campaign via Lend Donate. And now you are considering approving a line of credit from Endeavor Bank. This raises important questions that must be addressed openly and clearly. What is the current total of debt carried by the school? What are the terms of each active loan or credit line? Is there a new projected date for reaching cash positive status? Can each board member confidently provide consistent answers to these questions? And will this information be shared transparently with the public? These are not unreasonable questions, nor are they intended as criticism. I understand the necessity of utilizing financing to support school operations. This is not about blame. It is about the principle of transparency and accountability to the community you serve. Parents, staff, and stakeholders have a right to understand the school's financial health and long-term viability. I urge you to provide detailed and accurate information to the public regarding the school's fiscal standing, especially when significant financial decisions are being made. We look forward to your response and to greater transparency moving forward. Thank you for your time and attention to this important matter. This is a response from a student that I've been asked to read aloud. To the Irvine International Academy Board. My name is blank, and I am a student who attended Irvine International Academy during my 3rd through 5th grade years. I'm writing this letter to share my personal experiences and observations at IIA, both positive and concerning, because I care deeply about the school and I want to see it thrive for all future students. First, I want to thank the Irvine International Academy Board for the work you do and for guiding our school through both challenging and growing times. I've been fortunate to learn from some amazing leaders and educators during my time at IIA. Principal Schmitter and Mr. Fernandez are 2 great examples of leadership that stands out. They are fair, kind, and dedicated to making the school a better place for students, and under their leadership, I felt supported and heard. During my 3rd and 4th grade years, I felt the school environment was especially positive and encouraging. Dr. Bean, who served as the executive director at that time, played a big role in creating a welcoming and well-managed school. Dr. Bean was a leader who listened to parents and students, addressed problems directly and thoughtfully, and helped maintain strong standards among teachers. My 4th grade homeroom teacher, Miss Bake, was a great example of this culture. She was kind but firm, and she helped me learn a lot while also creating a classroom where friendships could grow. Because of her class, I became friends with students. 2 students are named, but I've been asked to not name the students. And I really enjoyed coming to the school every day. One memory that stands out from that time is when I had a conflict with another student. Instead of just punishing us or ignoring the problem, Dr. Bean invited us both to his office where we played cards and ate lunch together. He helped us talk things out, and I left that day feeling respected and understood. That kind of leadership made a big difference to me. Unfortunately, my experience during 5th grade was not the same. After Dr. Bean left and Dr. Kernan took over as executive director, I noticed a lot of changes in the school climate, and not all of them were positive. At the start of the year, the 5th grade was grouped with the middle school, with the explanation that it was practice for middle school. This meant we suddenly had much more homework, and for many students, including myself, it became overwhelming. In the first week alone, I received 10 pages of ELA homework, 5 sections of science notes, and 4 iReady lessons. It was too much, too fast, and I had a really hard time coping with the pressure. I even had a nervous breakdown. In addition to the workload, some of the teaching I experienced in 5th grade did not meet the same standards as in previous years. For example, my science teacher, Ms. Greengard, often seemed disengaged and overwhelmed. Toward the end of the school year, she stopped giving lessons entirely, and instead we spent class time on our Chromebooks, watching YouTube or playing games on Poki. In the last few days of school, she even brought a Nintendo Switch to class. I don't think that's the kind of learning experience students at IIA deserve. Another teacher, Ms. Kaminsky, caused me a lot of stress. Her behavior in class often loud and aggressive, and it created an environment where I didn't feel safe or respected. One time, after Coach K let us in from PE a few minutes early, Ms. Kaminsky yelled at us very loudly and made me feel scared. I don't believe teachers should speak to students in that way. In May, she asked us to write letters reflecting on our experiences in class and promised they would be private. But then she showed what I wrote to my brother, which was very upsetting. In my opinion, this was a serious violation of trust. In addition, I was very upset to hear that Ms. Kaminsky Kaminsky, Ms. Greengard, and Mr. Gibbons wrote negative things about two parents who were both dedicated parents and only wanted to support the school. They even gave gifts and gift cards to teachers out of appreciation. I don't understand how people who cared so much about IIA could be described as dangerous or hostile. One day when Miss Tiffany tried to say hello to Miss Kaminsky, she ran away from her, which just felt strange and hurtful. I am sharing all of this not because I want to criticize for no reason, but because I believe IIA can truly be a great school again. With the right leadership, support, and teacher accountability, students deserve to feel safe, challenged in a good way, and respected. Teachers deserve support too, but also need to be held to high standards. I hope the board takes these concerns seriously and reflects on what can be done to ensure a better experience for all future students. Thank you for taking the time to read my letter. I truly hope that you can make decisions that will bring back the happy, respectful, and engaging environment I experienced in 3rd and 4th grade. Subject, parent comment, retaliation, and concerns. Dear IIA board members, thank you for taking the time to read this comment. In today's world, where many schools feel agenda-driven or disconnected from families, discovering IIA 3 years ago was a breath of fresh air. It felt like a school where parents and children were seen and valued, where the administration genuinely cared and communication felt personal. While no school is perfect, the strength of IIA has always been its community of parents, the dedication of its staff, and the ability to maintain a small school feel. That spirit, where even the principal responds to emails, is what kept me committed, even during a year filled with challenges. However, I need to express a concern that has deeply affected me and other families: retaliation against parents who speak up. As a parent advocate, I've shared occasional feedback, always respectfully, often highlighting both positives and areas for improvement based on what my child experiences. Yet these attempts at communications are often met with passive-aggressive dojo posts or silence. I have never used hostile language. In fact, I've consistently shown appreciation to teachers with small gifts and kind words during holidays and Teacher Appreciation Week. So it was truly disheartening to learn that teachers in the middle school submitted formal complaints accusing both myself and Tiffany Kraft of being hostile or discriminatory. I hurt for Tiffany, who gives her time tirelessly, to support the school and students. To hear that, instead of receiving gratitude, she was targeted in writing by the very teacher she supported is incredibly upsetting. In my own case, I've had less than 10 minutes of interaction with those teachers outside of open house and conferences. I've never made personal comments about them and always routed topic concerns through proper administrative channels, as is every parent's right. For these teachers to claim that I've been discriminatory or hostile with no substantive interaction is not only inaccurate, it's unfair and sad. Even more concerning is that these teacher complaints were then publicly affirmed and repeated by board member Felipe Delgado. That act, doubling down on the attacks, felt like a public punishment for advocating for our children rather than an invitation to dialogue and solution seeking. We are not trying to cause division. We are simply parents who want a safe, emotionally healthy, academically sound environment for our children. Most of us never intended to become parent advocates, but felt we had to speak up when issues became too concerning to ignore. No one wants to be on a school's bad list simply for sharing respectful feedback. I'll give just one example. In Ms. Greengard's class, Chromebook use was up to 2 to 3 hours a day, replacing meaningful instruction. In Ms. Kaminsky's class, students were regularly yelled at, something many parents knew but hesitated to report. Now that the same teacher has turned to attacking parents, it's only fair that we be allowed to opt our children out of her class next year without stigma or resistance. Please know that I share this with a spirit of honesty and hope, not hostility. I believe IIA has the potential to be the model school it once felt like, but that can only happen when parent voices are respected, not punished. Sincerely, On. And I was asked to read the name. Next, dear Executive Director, Dr. Henry, thank you for taking the time to read my comment. My family has had the privilege to attend IIA since the fall of 2022. I enrolled my oldest with apprehension, but with hope that we can call IIA a second home for my children. I choose these words since most children spend more time at school than at home. Not before long, my husband and I knew we had found a safe place and a wonderful school for our two children. From the beginning of the past school year and with the departure of Dr. Bean, I knew things would be different. This change was expected and understandable. I saw as things changed around the school, and since then, as any cautious parent would have been weighing the pros and cons of these changes, I did not find myself with the need to speak up until I listened to the Orange County Board of Education regular meeting on June 2nd, 2025. I was deeply worried when I heard that two of our parents had been called out by name through dreadful emails read aloud during a IIA board meeting. I find this profoundly disrespectful and see these mentioned actions as deliberate and with intent to intimidate and shut down. I, as a busy mom, don't know if anyone from IA has give a response to such appalling actions. However, from what I heard in Orange County Board of Education regular meeting, June 2nd, 2025, it was not appropriate behavior and should not happen again. I would like to know what that my children attend a school where parents feel comfortable raising concerns regarding what they believe or stand for. I hope no other parent will ever have to experience such retaliation. Once again, thank you for your time. Best regards, Janet Munoz. Dear board members, director, and principal, I want to begin by acknowledging your dedication to your role, which comes with gratification and challenges alike. Yet you, Mr. Freeman, and Mr. Sun in particular, I already read that one. It's been printed twice, so I did read that one. Excuse me. All right, next comment. Dear IIA board, thank you for reading my comment since I could not be at the board member this evening. My two children attend IIA, with the next school year being our third year here. My concerns about the school started with the sex education and the overall shift in culture that I noticed since Dr. Bean left to become superintendent. The only changes in the past year I've noticed have been the new principal, the ED, and increased student population. We still have the same great board and PTO. With that being the case, I believe what is missing is the strong leadership from Dr. Bean. We can regain this leadership within the board or admin that I believe should be focused on the community, especially the parents. My concern with parents is what feels like teacher retaliation against parents who speak up. I was referred to IIA from one of these parents, so I don't believe this mom has any ill will toward the school, since she is the one who recommended it to me. I understand teachers are also part of this community, but if us parents can't voice our concerns for fear of retaliation, how do we feel safe in this school? Luckily, my children and I have not had anything bad happen to us personally. I did feel safe enough to tell one board member about a kindergarten teacher who yells a lot and called a student in my son's class stupid. I want to know that I can bring things like this up without fear of retaliation. Luckily, this is a kindergarten teacher and my son won't be in kindergarten anymore. But how about teachers in the special classes who also yell, and my children will be in their classrooms for many years to come? Please find a way to bring strong parent community and community-focused leadership to IIA for this next school year. I would like, next comment. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the board members for considering my comments. My first year at IIA has been a truly positive experience. I've enjoyed working with the new staff members, the new administration, the wonderful parents, and the diverse community. This collaborative environment has been everything I hoped for and more. The accomplishments of IIA over the past few years have culminated in a successful 2024-25 school year. IIA is thriving. experiencing growth, and is recognized as a distinguished school with plans to continue its success in the coming years. This success is attributed to the exceptional teachers here at IIA. Their dedication to building connections with students, encouraging them to excel, empowering them, and fostering creativity is crucial to the school's achievements. Dr. Kernan and Mr. Schmitter have been nothing but amazing leaders. What Amy did in her first year with IIA is truly remarkable. Increasing student enrollment, decreasing our school debt, implementing policies and procedures, establishing systems for staff such as a pay scale, giving our staff members at IIA an opportunity to be recognized through Orange County Parenting Teacher and Employee of the Year are just a few of the highlights that come to mind. Amy's departure from IIA will be missed, but I am happy that Mr. Schmitter and his leadership will continue here at IIA. Mr. Schmitter's accessible leadership style, exemplified by his open door policy for both staff and families, is highly valued. Mr. Schmitter's primary focus is the service of the students, staff, and families. Mr. Schmitter has been very supportive of me and the other staff members here at IIA. He is a leader that trusts his staff, a leader who does not micromanage and allows team members to take ownership of their work. Mr. Schmitter's demeanor, character, and leadership, and his support for others will continue to inspire and empower those around him. The parents and community here at IIA are truly amazing. It's like nothing I have ever seen over my 17+ years in education. The commitment, dedication, love, and passion they have for the students, community, and staff is amazing. The amount of energy and quality of work that it is put in for events is above and beyond any other school I have worked for. It also makes your day easier when you have parents smiling at you, greeting you at the start of the day, and thanking you for looking after their child. I am proud to work with a good group of people, not just hand in hand with my colleagues, but also alongside the IIA community. A change in leadership can be hard for people. Growth and success aren't easy pills to swallow, but here at IIA, that is exactly what is happening. A positive direction in leadership, growth, not just in student enrollment, but in student success, a California Distinguished School, IIA students participating in the state science fair, IIA popularity throughout Orange County, and all the beautiful things that await IIA. We must continue pushing forward and putting the interest of the school and students at the very forefront of what we do, not individuals' own agenda. As I enter my second year here at IIA, I look forward to continued growth, success, and change that IIA will take on in the 2025-26 school year. Our new executive director, Dr. Henry's leadership, the addition of new students, and the addition of new teammates, new families, as well as a qualified board member who is well-rounded, motivated individual who put the best interest of IIA community at the forefront and not be motivated by their own agenda, Mr. Escalante. IIA board, I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to kindly ask the following comments be read aloud during tonight's board meeting on June 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Thank you for your consideration. I'm writing to express my serious concern about the false and inappropriate statements made about a couple parents by multiple middle school teachers during the IIA school board meeting held on May 20th, 2025. These statements, which were read aloud at a public forum, were not only untrue, but were also shared publicly, causing reputational harm, emotional distress, and undermining our trust in the IIA school board. I respectfully request that IIA school board provide a formal written and public clarification or retraction of the statements. Number 2, investigate the origin and motivation behind the comments. Number 3, review whether these actions violate any school policy, professional standards, or state laws regarding parent engagement, confidentiality, and defamation. Number 4, take appropriate corrective measures to ensure this does not happen again. I would appreciate a written response outlining the steps the district plans to take regarding this matter. I am prepared to pursue further action if necessary, including seeking legal counsel to protect my family's name and integrity. Respectfully yours. Two more. Good evening, members of the board. To begin, I want to express how grateful I am, how grateful my family is to be part of this school community. My daughter is currently in second grade and she has had a truly wonderful year. Her teachers have been exceptional, nurturing, dedicated, and effective, and we've seen tremendous growth in her both academically and personally. While it's encouraging to hear that the school plans to hire third grade teachers for the upcoming year, there are still ongoing concerns about overall staffing, with enrollment projected to increase by another 100 students. And considering that staffing was reportedly a challenge this past year, many families are wondering how the school plans to configure classrooms and ensure that educational quality is maintained, particularly in light of issues experienced in fifth grade. I understand that the original charter was for 440 students and we're now over 600. While I know this expansion was approved by OCDE, I'd like to respectfully request that we not exceed this number further. Growth is exciting, but it must be balanced with sustainability and quality. I'd like to raise a concern about the sex education curriculum used this year. Many parents, including myself, felt it did not align with our values. I would like to formally petition the board to consider adopting HEART curriculum for the next year, which I believe better reflects the needs and values of our community. I want to address another concern regarding the public reading of certain comments at the last board meeting that targeted two parents. While I understand the importance of transparency and open dialogue, I believe those remarks should not have been read aloud in a public forum. They were personal in nature and, in my view, unfairly damaged the reputations of individuals who have dedicated countless hours to volunteering for our school. These parents are known in our community for their integrity and commitment, and I hope we can find ways to address concerns constructively without undermining the spirit of mutual respect that should guide our school community. Finally, I want to acknowledge the positive shift in leadership under our new executive director, Dr. Henry. Since her arrival, I've noticed a significant and refreshing change. She's been responsive, open to feedback, and genuinely engaged with the parent community. She took the time to meet with a group of us, listened to our concern, and has already followed up on several issues. Her communication has been clear and consistent, and we're already seeing a positive impact. I truly appreciate this new direction and hope the collaboration between school leadership and families continues to grow. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to our children's education. Maria Bale. Final comment. Hi, Amy and Stephanie. I was wondering if someone could read out a message to the board for me during the board meeting. I would like to thank them for my time at IIA. I want to take a moment to say thank you to the board for your leadership and support you provided throughout my time at IIA. It's been an amazing 3 years. Serving in this school has been one of the most meaningful experiences of my career. I've felt incredibly fortunate to teach in an environment where the values of education and community are not just talked about, but genuinely lived out. I love our IIA family and will forever appreciate the impact it has had on me personally and professionally. I wish you all continued success with the incredible work you do. With heartfelt thanks, Christy Bate. That concludes the comments.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who submitted comments. Okay, next we'll move to recognitions.
Good evening. I would like to take a moment to honor two individuals this evening as it will be their last board meeting. First, I would like to take a moment to express our sincere gratitude to Dr. Kernan for her exemplary service to our school community. Throughout her tenure, Dr. Kernan has been instrumental in driving growth of our school, ensuring its fiscal stability, and upholding the highest standards of compliance. Thanks to her leadership, we have not only expanded our programs and student enrollment, but have maintained strong fiscal oversight. positioning the school for long-term sustainability. Her unwavering commitment to adhering to compliance guidelines has laid a solid foundation for our continued success. On behalf of our school community and staff, we extend our deepest thanks to Dr. Kernan, and we wish her the very best in her future endeavors. And we are profoundly grateful for the legacy she leaves behind. Thank you, Dr. Kernan, for your dedication and vision. I would like to know if the board, yes. Would the board like to say a few comments regarding Dr. Kernan?
You guys always start with me.
Can you hear me? Can you hear that?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Kernan. I know it was a difficult year for you, considering you had to start on the fly, you know, in a short term, get the school running. Thank you for all the positive things you've done for the school.
Yes, Dr. Kernan, feel grateful for your leadership and your contribution to this school, and you know, making the school getting better, stronger every day, every month. So you know, really feel excited, and also it's my privilege to be working with you in the past more than 1 year or so, right? And I wish you very well in your whatever endeavor going forward. Yeah, we're gonna this school hopefully will still be in contact with you. Yeah, we're gonna miss you. Right.
Dr. Kernan, I learned a lot, so much from you. I feel like I used it in the education system. I'm on this side. And, but since I've been on board, learning so much, I understand a lot more on the board side. And you have shown me your dedication, and you don't have your own agenda. Everything is for the school, for the student. And so thank you. Thank you so much for setting good example and help us so much at IIA. A lot of things people don't really understand, just like when I was as a teacher, I really didn't understand a lot of responsibility that the board would help, but thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just would, first, like I said, that was very well written. I think what you said was very nice and definitely well deserved. I would say that not easy coming into a new school, especially with a new principal, right? And I think we had some new positions that had just been filled, and you were dealing with a lot. So thank you for doing that. You knew about IA before you ever applied. And I appreciate you taking a strong interest in getting to know the school and helping in all the areas that you did. And that would include increased transparency, especially as it relates to board meetings. Certainly the fiscal management, the looking at our ELAP programs, everything from looking at additional sources of funding, being able to get off of the charter school, grow schools funding route, able to help ensure that we had a clean oversight report with our authorizer. There are certainly areas that we will build and improve on moving forward, but the school owes you a big thank you, in my opinion. And we're grateful, and we're wishing you the safest of travels, and may the road rise to meet you wherever you go. Thank you, and please feel free to welcome your family here to visit here if you are ever in the area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more person that we would like to honor. Do you know if Miller has logged in?
A couple of times, but.
Well, we'll go ahead. We would like him to be able to see this recording, obviously. So we also want to honor Miller Zhang for his service to the IIA board and community. I will be reading his bio. I remember when I was interested in IIA and read in applying and I read the bios of our board members, I was very impressed. And so I feel like that would be a service, because although I have not met him in person, and I do hope I have the opportunity to someday, we do want to thank him for his leadership and dedication to the IIA community. So Miller Zhang was born and lived in China until the age of 21, when he was selected because he was in the top 5% academically of Chinese students. He was allowed to go overseas to study after China's Cultural Revolution. After completing his college degree in Canada, he traveled to Venezuela and worked with Chinese immigrants for 7 years. Now a fluent Spanish speaker, the Latin culture prepared Mr. Zhang to help in his work with the 2008 earthquake survivors in Chengdu. Government leaders honored Miller for the 10-year anniversary of the Sichuan earthquake. Mr. Zhang was the guest speaker, and his training system is still being used to train generation after generation of teachers to recognize and help troubled kids. Mr. Zhang is greatly respected in Beijing education and speaks Mandarin, Cantonese, English, Spanish, and 3 other languages. Would our board like to say a few words regarding Miller?
Yeah, I really appreciate Miller's effort here because he was here from the first year, which was a real struggle. And he provided the support during those times. And he's continued to speak to us when he can participate, always in a positive manner.
Yeah, and I came to know Miller ever since I, got involved with IIA. Ever since I had a lot of interactions with him, including the one time I went to Canada, I met him in Vancouver. Sometimes we chatted about his adventures, his other involvement in China and elsewhere. I was really tremendously amazed by his involvement and his contributions to the society at large in general. He really kind of dedicated to education. Sometimes I feel sorry, we don't have him here, but I understand because I asked him, hey, who's paying the travel every time you come down? He said, I'm paying that myself. I just want, some of the parents don't know. And every time if he made a trip, a special trip, coming to Irvine to participate, he's paying that out of the pocket. At one time, I even proposed in a board meeting, I said, can we at least cover, 1 or 2 trips to cover here? And instead of having Miller to stay in most time in Shi Xiong's house, because there's no budget to pay for his hotels and local, ground transportation. So I really feel the school really should feel indebted to his contributions, and personally that's a personal sacrifice. So as a board member, I really feel grateful to Miller's contributions and involvement. No matter what, wherever Miller is, I really want to say thank you.
I got to know Miller when I came here, and I know he loves this school. That's all he can talk about it. When he's here, he constantly going to the classroom, talk to kids, talk to teachers. And I know he's so busy, but he knows our schedule. He would try his best to come and visit. And I also worked at Beijing before, in China before. So when we talk about a school, and you can tell he's a natural teacher and he loves his students. He cares about them. And so it's just, we're so fortunate we had Miller on board for so long, and I know it's difficult that he's lived so far away. But I know he will continue to think about us. He will keep up with what's going on here. So thank you, Miller, for being on board for so many years.
IAA, I do believe definitely owes a big debt of gratitude to Miller. He was one of the founding board members of this school, and whenever he is here in person, he is very much here. And I know he even likes to participate in the beginning of school when it comes to the retreat. Basically the onboarding for the year. And so I say to you, Miller, thank you so much. Please don't be a stranger. You are always welcome. We hope that you will stay in touch, and please safe travels wherever you may be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is very clear that IIA was built on the backs of some very strong leaders. So thank you again, both to Dr. Kernan and to Miller for your service. We appreciate you.
Thank you again for doing that. Next, moving to items for consent. We've got two items: approve the minutes from the regular meeting of the IAA Board of Directors on May 20th, 2025, and approve the personnel report. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve consent items A through B. Is there a motion? Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Felipe. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Okay, moving to items for presentation. We've got first school update, Principal Schmitter.
All right. There we go. All right. You see that? Nope. All right, let me try it again. No, I can't hear. It's on screen share.
Share the other way.
Display now.
Display now instead. Tab.
School update. Yep. Figured it out. All right, thank you. So we finished the school year, as you may know. So I want to kind of provide updates too on some things that happened at the end of the year, and then kind of where we're at now, and then what to look forward moving forward. So we did have a field day. It was a success. The kids enjoyed it. They especially enjoyed a little dunk thing getting me wet. I think I was soaked from head to toe for about 3 hours outside. And of course, it was a day that was actually cold, but the kids had fun. They enjoyed it. And so we're going to be kind of taking that and kind of building off of that. And not saying, okay, well, we did it, that's done. We're going to continue to improve on that. So we had that field day. And then our last day was a very busy day. We actually had 3 promotions: kindergarten, 5th grade, and 8th grade. And we had to pivot at the last minute that morning because we had planned everything outside with the stage and chairs, and it decided to rain on us. Fortunately, we had a staff that's very on top of it. We were ready to go, so we were able to move it inside. So we promoted 90 kindergartners, 49 5th graders, and then 15 8th graders. And so all our promotions, I feel like were a success. And again, is something to build off of. So we're going to continue to refine and improve. But it was our first ever promoting class of 8th grade. So that is a kind of an accomplishment for the school, considering the school started with 5th grade. So now we have students going on into high school. So it'll be nice to kind of hear about their next steps and their success, and also what were they prepared for, what weren't they prepared for, so that we could take that feedback and improve as a school. So right now we're kind of in the mode, well, we've been in the mode, but now we're truly in the mode of prepping things for next school year. You know, school ends, the students are gone, but we're still here. But it's also nice to have this time to really focus and plan. Specifically, we have 6 teaching positions to fill. Some are because some staff had left, but a lot of it, some of it is just general school growth. For those 6 positions, we had 150 applications total. So we've screened through all 150. We're now in the process of setting up interviews for those teachers, for those teaching positions. So we hope to have somebody in with an offer that's accepted and onboarding this month. So that way we are fully staffed and ready to go for August. So we aim to be staffed for that this month. And then kind of looking into part of our planning this summer, the big focus for us for this next school year is going to be timely and detailed communication. Staff, parents, it's the school community as a whole. What kind of information our parents want, what kind of they are looking for. The last couple of weeks, we've tried to provide a little bit more detail on things. I've gotten some positive feedback on that, but we're going to continue to work on that area in terms of communication to our families. And then just some important dates. So actually tomorrow, our first ever IIA Summer Panda Pros program starts tomorrow. That's our summer program. We have about 100 students coming here tomorrow. They'll be here for about 6 weeks. And we are excited about that. We have our staff, they've been getting ready to go. Myself working with our coordinator, Mr. Gio, making sure that everything's ready to go. But we're excited, we're ready to go on that. So although it's quieter, there's still going to be plenty of activity going on. So we have about 100 students here during these 6 weeks. And then looking forward to is our first day of school is August 13th. So that sounds far away, but we all know we're going to blink and it's going to be right here, ready to go. But we'll be ready, and I just want to kind of give you some of those updates. Okay. Any questions?
I have something, and it's something that's kind of sitting there. I've mentioned it before, and I'm hoping that we can put something more definitive around it. So this point on focus on timely and detailed communication to parents, I think this is great. I'd like to see the detail of what that is, right? What is the plan on that? And it's not just the outbound communication, it's our responses, right? When we get feedback, what type of service level agreement we are going to define for ourselves that we're responding to parents within X number of days, and that we have some way of monitoring that, and it be something that we try to communicate internally through the school so everyone understands the school's expectation on responsiveness. Because one of the things I worry about is that because we're getting so many things sometimes, that some things are left not responded to. And so if people feel unheard, then that's not a good feeling to leave someone with. So can we look at really assessing what it is that we have already in place, and maybe we're not enforcing it, or we are enforcing it and we're just not aware of what it may be? But I love this point. I'm just wondering if we could put more detail around it and how we're going to address it.
Well, Dr. Henry, we've already had some conversations on that too. She was kind of assessing what we're currently doing, what was currently in place, and then from there is going to identify areas that we're going to focus on specifically. So we're working on that, and we can give you an update when we're ready.
Is the idea to have that in place and ready to go before school starts?
Yes.
Okay.
The idea is to get it ready in place as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this month.
Okay, thank you.
Two things. One, I heard that the eighth grade speeches, that there was Arthur and there was another student there. Those speeches were rather emotional. And there was a lot of people crying, which was pretty amazing. I think half that was because of their speech and half of it was because they're leaving, right?
Yeah,
Obviously, leaving
absolutely.
their friends. So I have a question about the teacher positions.
Mhm.
You said there's a screening or first round of interviews have been scheduled, that kind of thing. Could you explain a little bit more about how that is? And I'll tell you why. So just so I don't blindside you. You know, traditionally, or at least I've seen in the past, maybe not this year, but the parents get a little bit of opportunity to input on the teachers, you know, or interview them. Is that something we're doing this year? I mean, is that?
So we haven't fully established our panels. We are going to be establishing our panels, and that's something that we're talking about right now, who specifically is going to be on the panel. Because we have different positions, so not all panels are going to be the same. And then at the same time, if they're going to be on the panel, they have to be able to participate in all those interviews.
So there is going to be, you know, it's not explained here, there's
Yeah.
going to be that opportunity for that input.
It's something that I'm talking about with Dr. Henry.
And it input probably a little bit more narrowed down to that teacher's area.
Yeah, it's going to be
Wherever they're.
For example, Ms. John is going to be sitting on our management teacher interview.
Right.
Give you an
because
example.
she's obviously.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I have a question, not necessarily relates to your presentation, but you know, in general, kind of a, you know, response to some of the comments. I know, you know, some of the non-agenda items, you know, we're not, maybe, you know, this is not a situation or time to address it, but just sort of want to ask you, Mr. Schmidt, you know, some of the comments from the emails or whatever the written comments, they read, you know, talk about some of the teachers yelling at students. I'm assuming you have a mechanism, you know, to address this issue, have a communication channels open to the parents who raise the issues of.
Yeah, so whenever we get feedback like that, I always follow up. I do address it. We do, in terms of any type of complaints, we document, there's follow up on that. Now, when it comes to what was actually done, that's confidential with the school, but it does get addressed. And it is told to the parents that it will be addressed.
Yeah, I was also, you know, hoping in the future, because the, you know, kind of the board is not necessarily the best avenue to address all the issues, all the comments, you know, from students, from parents. I mean, if we get down to that level, we're going to be kind of bogged down to a lot of issues. So I'm sure, you know, the school level, administration level have the channel, the right process.
Yes, we do. And
handle some of the issues.
And when it comes to handling things,
Yeah.
it's hard because we as a school, we do take steps. Things do get handled, but it may not be known to everybody.
Yeah.
It's known internally to the school. We know what we're doing, we know what steps we're taking, but because of that confidential aspect as, you know, as an employee, but we do handle it, we do document.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. That also helped me to think about something. We talk about transparency, and also we heard about parents' comments. So definitely working on the communication, the path. But at the same time, I feel like we talk about their new teachers. We have new committees. Maybe the parents need to know that we have these committees. Some we do involve the parents, some we don't. So I think maybe I can see IAA is a huge family. The parents want to get involved too. But at the same time, if we can let them know ahead of time, these are the things, you know, we want you to be part of it. This
part, we just want you to know what we're doing. So I think once we said it clearly, they probably wouldn't say, how come I was not involved? How come I didn't know about it? And then along with the complaints about the teachers, by the time we hear it, it's almost like a little bit too late. So I totally agree with you. You know, maybe that's something you want to let the parents know. They go directly to you. Not that we don't care, we do, but I just feel like, you know, by the time we hear it, usually it's really huge. It's like, how long has this been going on? So, but I'm pretty sure they, you know, you already knew about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's things I do know, but then there's also things that don't get reported to me, but I mean, to be very honest and transparent, there's a lot of things that happen throughout the school year.
Right.
But I do follow up on all of them, and we do document that, but, and I can attest to you that I'm not afraid of having those tough conversations if we have to have those tough conversations, and they have happened, but in terms of how it gets handled, I can't really say exactly.
I totally understand. Yeah, so I'm just thinking about when parents bring it up, that means that's still the problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we'll work on that. Thank you. Mhm.
Thank you very much, Ms. Schmitter. Okay, moving on to the local indicators, Dr. Henry.
There's quite a few slides on this one, so I'm going to stand a little closer to the computer so I can click the button. So tonight we will be presenting our local indicators, which are required to be presented at the same board meeting where our LCAP is adopted, which is later on in the agenda tonight. So for California School Accountability, and I have my slides just because there's a lot of type here. But for California School Accountability, the dashboard is the main mechanism to show how schools are doing. However, some of the state priorities cannot be easily shown through test scores or attendance or those kind of outside data sources that are collected. So the state requires us to present local indicators where we do almost like self-assessments in certain areas to make sure that we are meeting all 8 of the state priorities, not just those that are reflected on the dashboard. So the ones that we are required to present are basic services and conditions, how we're implementing academic standards, parent and family engagement, school climate, access to a broad course of study, and then the last 2 are priority 9 and 10. Those are for county offices only, so we are not required to present on those last 2 bullets. The way that we are to address these other local indicators is, number 1, we use self-reflection tools that the state provides for us to annually measure progress in these different areas. We must report the results as a non-consent item at the same public meeting where we are adopting the LCAP. And then once this is presented, we will upload our local indicators also to the dashboard so that parents can access not only the data such as academics and attendance and suspension rate and EL results, but they can also see our self-reflection assessments in the dashboard as well once we have presented this. So here are the 8 state priorities. And again, I've already explained a little bit that some of these are a little harder to measure through a test score. So parent involvement is a state priority, and that one where we have to do a self-reflection tool. Student engagement, some pieces of school climate, basic necessities, implementation of state standards, the fact that our students have access to courses and our students are achieving, and then there's some other student outcomes. Here's priority number 1, and that is basic services. And just to note, each of these priorities, the reflection tool is a little bit different for each, so you won't see the same process for every single one. So for basic services, we just had to answer these 5 questions. So do we have students without access to their own copies of standards aligned instructional materials? And we had none. We also have to identify instances where our facilities do not meet the good standard repair, and we did not have any in that area as well. We have to list our total number of teachers, our total number of interns, and if we had any teachers working out of field. So I did a little research. A lot of this was completed before I came on board, but we did have 2 teachers that we did. It's called a DAWN, and it is I wrote it down because I might forget. It's a declaration of need. So if we had 2 staff members that needed to finish, we had one that had to finish the CLAD, and then we had one that was finishing up the credential. And we filled out this DAWN, so we were within the requirements, but we have to report them. And I am happy to say I followed up with our HR today, and they have both been resolved. So we should not have any of those teachers outside of field for next school year. Priority number 2 that we have to look at is all about implementing academic standards, and we have to rate ourselves in all of these areas. This is probably the longest tool, and I won't get into all of it. But you'll see the first one is, are we providing professional learning for our staff? And we give ourselves, most of those are full implementation or full implementation and sustainability. Are we making progress with the instructional materials? You'll see we have a rating of a 3 there because we have not adopted our social studies curriculum for our elementary school students. And you'll see something about that in my next presentation. The next is, are we implementing policies or programs to support staff and identifying areas where we can improve in delivering instruction? And so you can see here that in the different areas, we have 4s or 5s, depending on our progress in those materials and instructional areas. And then we also look if we, of our adoption for our progress in implementing all the academic standards adopted by the state board. You can see that with the health education content standards, we gave ourselves a 3 because we are in the initial implementation phase. You'll see more about that in my next presentation. For physical education, a 3, visual and performing arts, and world languages. So we are in the initial implementation for curriculum in those areas. Just to let you know, it doesn't matter what rating we give ourselves. That doesn't determine if these local indicators are accepted or not. It's the fact that we go through the process. So they don't deny a school if they're giving themselves a little tougher rating to improve. They actually appreciate that and appreciate the self-reflection process. The last question for priority number 2 is, what's our success at engaging in activities with teachers and school administrators? So are we asking our teachers what professional learning they need? Are we identifying needs on our own when we visit classrooms saying, we think we can provide this to our teachers? And are we providing support on standards they have not yet mastered? It's a little bit of what you heard with your conversation just a minute ago with Mr. Schmitter. So we reflect on, are we doing these things when our teachers need extra support? Priority number 3 is parent involvement and family engagement. And so again, this is another rating tool that we have, and we rate our progress in developing the capacity of our teachers so that they can engage families, our progress in creating a welcome environment for our families, if we're supporting staff to learn about our family's strengths, cultures, and languages, goals for their children, as well as rating the progress in developing multiple opportunities for our families to engage, and as well as two-way communication. Some other pieces that we're rating is about building partnerships for student outcomes with our families, and then also seeking input for decision-making. And you can see the subcategories there. Priority 6 is school climate. And in this one, we are required to give a survey to our students where they self-reflect on the climate of the school. By doing that, we've met this standards, but you can see that we have outlined some of the prompts that we are providing those surveys about our students engaged. Do they feel that we have a positive environment? Do they feel safe at school? Do they feel like they belong? How do our students and staff and parents feel about our facilities condition? And do our students like school? So that survey came through, I believe it's been called our LCAB Stakeholder Engagement Survey. And so that's why some of those questions are in there, because they meet the requirements of this local indicator. And then priority number 7 is access to a broad course of study. So here we outline different elective offerings that we have, including STEAM and music, physical education. We talk about supports for students that need extra help. We have a student study team. We have intervention available. And then, we discuss the wide-ranging curriculum that we have for students. So by filling this out and reflecting upon our practices, this is how we meet the standard for that local indicator. Do you have any questions for me? It's a lot of information.
I'm a little concerned with the students liking the school, only 57% positive. But I think that might have something to do just in general.
I agree.
Because, it seems like, I know we'd like to see that all kids like coming here no matter what, but as I've always seen, it sometimes it's hard in the morning to get them here, but then when they're here, it's hard to get them to leave in the afternoon because they like to be here.
And that's a data point. And as we're consistent with the survey, we can measure growth over time and see if we're showing improvements in those areas as well. Thank you.
So for the student liking schools, that was a survey, right?
Yes.
So all the students filled this out.
No, I believe it wasn't all the students, but since I wasn't here, it was fifth through eighth grade. That might have something to do with the numbers as well for you, Mr. Delgado.
So
Sure.
actually, I thought that one was kind of high. I have seen very low ones.
So anyway, we should be like happy.
Well, especially upper grade, I guess. So this actually was my experience from my old school. Yeah, it's high, but the lower grade usually it's if you give it to first grade up, if they know how to do the survey, will be up there.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the next presentation.
Okay, next item is the curriculum view. Dr. Henry.
Dr. Kernan's going to help me to change the presentation. We will miss your technical skills, Dr. Kernan, and I'm happy to say that we have hired a tech person who will help us with this. Thank you. So the next presentation I have is a curriculum review presentation. We're really going to be focusing on the process of how we review curriculum and what that looks like. But there are several different specific curricular areas that are coming up on our radar. So we wanted to give specific information about that, including 2 items that are on the board agenda for approval today. So just to ensure or make sure everyone understands the process, when we are reviewing curriculum or even considering bringing some new curriculum, there will always be a needs assessment where we're identifying the needs of our students, the school, making sure that the need for curriculum is aligning with our goals, state standards, and what our students actually need. We then will work with our staff to research, and we will select some items or different curricular areas to pilot. It is different for each curricular area, but having 3 to pilot is usually a good practice if there are those available. Then we will work with our teachers to conduct a pilot or multiple pilots. Again, if we have 3 different areas, we'll work with our staff to do that. Our staff will give a final evaluation and recommendation. And one thing that we're going to add next year, it is written in our charter, so we wanted to make sure that we had that, was a curriculum review committee. So we're going to form that, and it will be comprised of teachers, administrators, parents, and a board member, hopefully. And what this committee will do is they'll be brought forward when there is a need. If we are in the middle of a pilot process and looking at a new curriculum, and so they'll kind of be brought along the way there. We will also, and we have tried to stay steady to that, have a parent review of materials and input that includes the curriculum on display. We will then bring it to board for board approval, and we also want to look at the implementation and the professional development that goes hand in hand with implementing any curriculum. So that's just a core outline of the process, but I will give you more specifics regarding specific curriculum areas. But because this has been a very important topic, I also wanted to share some communication strategies when it comes to that curriculum review process. So we are committing to give curriculum updates at each coffee with the principal. If there are some, if there aren't any, that will be a standing item that we will talk about our curriculum and where we are in the process. I also would like to see a parent workshop to present on the curriculum as we're getting closer to the pilot process and the decision making. So not only will we have a curriculum review committee with representation, we also want to have a parent workshop, and we have those each month. We have a coffee with the principal as well as an area of parent education. I saw this for the Mandarin curriculum that Ms. Zhang did a wonderful job. It was a wonderful meeting. I'm going to talk about that in my board update. But she presented the curriculum that the teachers had piloted. It was open for review. Families were able to come and look at the different curriculum that is being recommended. We also had it on display since that meeting until tonight. So that is we'd like to see that be a process in the future, that there is a workshop that's available to all to come. I would also like to see curriculum information as appropriate added into the weekly update that is sent by Mr. Schmitter. As he said, and as actually you asked, we are looking really closely at different communication systems we already have in place and how do we better utilize those. So really making sure that those items are there when necessary. We will notify parents when curriculum review or the display is ready, and that'll be pertinent with one of my areas this evening. I'll give you an example. We will add curriculum information in our annual LCAP stakeholder survey. So, and that goes to our parents, staff, and students in grades 5 through 8. We were just talking about that. And then also, next year is going to be a very interesting, fun year because we will be going through the charter renewal process. And just not to get off topic, but to speak a little bit about that, the goal is to start some very intentional engagement strategies starting in September, looking at different pieces of our charter, bringing parents and families and stakeholders together, similar to what we did with the LCAP process, starting those and taking apart different tasks in our charter to have input. So it won't be, here's the whole charter, give us input, but it will be intentional activities hopefully monthly, where we're looking at different pieces, getting input on data, different parts. So that, though, that curriculum discussion, it will also be part of that charter renewal process because we list our curriculum in our charter. So those are some of the communication strategies we're looking at. Tonight on the board agenda, you will see the K-8 Mandarin curriculum. Just to let you know the process for that, 3 teachers piloted 4 different Mandarin curriculum options during this school year. On April 30th, the Mandarin team reviewed the results of the pilots and the data collected from surveys regarding each of the pilots. What both Mr. Schmitter and Ms. Zhang do is when the teachers are piloting, they have to answer certain questions and collect data so that all teachers can share and learn what the findings were from each of the areas. After this process, our elementary teachers selected the Meizhu Chinese to use with grade K-5. And then our middle school teachers selected, it's called Easy Steps to Chinese for grades 6-8. But there's also an advanced Chinese option that we could have our students use as well. When we had this on display and also at the parent workshop, it was great to look through these materials. Were top quality. So the recommendations for adoption were shared during our parent workshop on May 29th, 2025, and the curriculum was displayed and available for review since the meeting. I just wanted to let you know, although we're not adopting this, but there will be some additional materials, approximately $5,000 will be purchased at the elementary level, so we can use those for intervention or enrichment depending on the need. So we don't have a number. Everyone will get the core curriculum and then the supplementary will come as we have students with need. For K-5, for our history or social science curriculum, our elementary teachers piloted 2 different social studies curricula during the 24-25 school year. They piloted Sabbath and TCI. Our middle school, they use TCI, so they wanted to see the alignment, and then they looked at the Sabbath curriculum as well. Mr. Schmitter met with teachers regularly and collected data, score sheets from the pilots. The teachers are recommending Sabbath as the new social studies curriculum for 25-26. But since the teachers were given access to online materials through the company, and we don't have the hard copy. We have requested hard copies for that display that we ensured you would be happening. And so we are not bringing this one forward for adoption. Hopefully we'll be getting those materials soon. Mr. Schmitter will send out a notice to all families saying that the K-5 history curriculum is up for display. And then hopefully we'll have it for the rest of June, July, and we can bring that to the July 22nd board meeting for approval. But don't want to get ahead of myself, but that's how we're projecting the process to be for our K-5 social studies curriculum. And then an update on our comprehensive sexual health education curriculum. We know this has been a very important topic to our community. And so we wanted to share just a few steps that we are taking or a timeline of when these things will happen. So based on parent input, we were asked to give a survey to our families that either opt in 8th grade this year that either opted in or opted out of the curriculum, both to students and parents and their thoughts on the curriculum. We have done that and we do have the results. Mr. Schmitter is going to put them out on the table. If anyone would like to see them, we're very transparent with those results. However, the results there will be a deeper dive once we start looking into this curriculum and bring a committee forward. We're also working on a county scan. The information's a little tough to get to, but I am working directly with the county, asking for their help to get a scan of what curriculum is used in the county. This is just one measure. This is not going to be how we decide. It's just one more information point that will be important as we move forward and get input. Also, over the summer, we will be working on a crosswalk of those California Healthy Youth Act requirements, also AB 329 requirements. It's the same, and a simpler crosswalk. I also shared with many parents that I would be looking at different curriculum in this simplified way of what meets, what doesn't meet. And I've already started to gather some of that curriculum for that review. We will officially start the process for the 25-26, either third pilot or looking at what we're going to be using for the sexual health education curriculum in January 2026. The reason why we're waiting until January is because that charter revision and input session will be a heavy lift all the way September through December. And then January, we can start with the input on the LCAP as well as on the sexual health curriculum. And I feel it still gives us plenty of time in order to make some good decisions before the full implementation. We are open to a third pilot, but we'll work with a group and we'll have open meetings where people can come and we'll share the information, the survey data information, the crosswalks that we have. We can have as many of the curriculum as I can get. We can have that on display. And then we'll kind of look there. We will look for a third pilot if that's what we choose to do, and work towards implementation of the curriculum in May 2026. Here is a curriculum review timeline of all of our curriculum areas because, it is a regular and ongoing cycle where we review our curriculum. So we wanted to kind of show where we are and where are we headed with different areas of curriculum. So again, our Mandarin language curriculum is on the board agenda for this evening. That's June 2025. Our social studies curriculum will hopefully be on our agenda in July, pending those hard materials and putting them on display for our families. We're looking at starting to look at science curriculum for the 25-26 school year, with adoption being in 2026. Mathematics, also looking at those areas this year. Again, I just went over the comprehensive sexual health, how we're looking at either a third pilot, but we wouldn't until after next year look at adoption until 2026 of what our final curriculum will be. We are looking at bringing a writing program in, and we would start reviewing that in 26-27 with adoption in 2027, and then English language arts would be up for a review again, 26-27 with adoption in 2027. And there's one more item for curriculum that we had to bring forward to the board this evening. So California in December brought forward 4 different assessments for students in K-2, grades K-2, to identify students at early reading risks. So they call it a reading risk difficulties screener. And the California Department of Education brought together big teams and came up with 4 that any school district can implement. And LEAs must approve one of the screeners for use next year before the end of this month. So we did bring together a team. The purpose of the new requirement is to identify students early on who need additional testing for dyslexia, reading intervention, or other supports. And parents can opt out of that reading risk screener, but we must have it available to all K-2 students starting next school year. So the process that we followed was Ms. Brown held a committee that included Mr. Schmitter, teachers from each of those grade levels. They reviewed the state-approved screeners. Again, there were 4, and they were looking at them in all of these different areas. They were looking at the cost. Are they available in Spanish? Because some are available in Spanish and some are not. The length of the assessment to give, the availability of professional development for our staff to give the assessment, reporting options. Are there reports available? Are those reports available in multiple languages? Ease of use, integration with our current systems, and also administration protocols. So our team, after meeting, and I got to look through all their notes, they did a very thorough job. We are recommending Multitudes as our screener. The other 3 choices were Amira, Roar, and M-Class. The reason why this Multitudes was selected was, number 1, it's free. So there is no cost to IIA to use this screener, and it includes professional development. If we choose to do additional professional development, that would be the only cost. Administration time is only 10 to 13 minutes per student. It is available in Spanish. There is a superior data dashboard, and parent reports are available and translated into 12 languages so that they can see. It integrates with one of our platforms, which is called Clever, which is how it kind of runs all of our curriculum. And then also, if we find a student is exhibiting some troublesome data, there is a follow-up test that we can give to further pinpoint if our students are at risk. I asked the question of our team about so when we looked at these screeners, 3 were available in Spanish and English, and 1 was only English. But what about Mandarin? What about all of these other languages that our students speak here at IIA? So they were able to share a decision tree that CDE has put forward that they did review in the committee of looking at different types of data if the student can't access the assessment in their home language. I'm also under the impression from CDE that this is the first year of implementation, that many of these screeners will be available in the future in other languages. But right now, it is only Spanish and English. And then when we're looking at the reading difficulties, we would use this decision tree in our decisions. And that ends my presentation for the reading risk screener. Again, that's on the board agenda. I know, Felipe, it's a lot. Do you have any questions for me?
I know. So, I'm a little surprised that the risk of reading screener, like assessments, weren't already implemented. Is there a program that it's replacing?
No, there
Aren't
was.
the kids already checked, sorry, I spoke.
No,
over
it's
you.
okay.
But they're already checked for that, for reading risk early on?
There isn't a specific assessment that is given, like a research-based assessment to see if students show difficulties early on. There has not been. So a screener in general is universal, meaning you give it to every child. There are other assessments that if a teacher notices that a student is showing difficulty, that they would go and give additional assessments, but there's not one that you give to everyone
It's
across
blanket.
the board, right?
It's like a blanket thing now. 'cause-
Exactly.
Right, so that's what I was
Yeah.
kind of.
So there have been
remembering,
other
that there-
processes, but the state of California is committed to all students reading by age of 3. And so this was a component early on that they put in place. I said grade 3, right?
Yeah.
Not
That's
age of 3.
great. But when is it
Great.
actually given to the students in grades?
So this assessment is given in grades K through 2.
Oh, K through 2, got it. So
And so once we have this adopted, then we will start working with Mr. Schmitter on our process of when it must be given, I think it's 40 days or 45 days within the student starting school. So we're gonna have to look at timelines and implementation and notice to parents. That would be our next step after the board approves our recommendation.
Okay, I'm probably getting a little farther ahead here. So now the kid is identified, I hate to call them kids, but student is identified with an issue, risk reading. What happens then?
So I love that you asked that question because people that have known me around the county know that I am a strong believer in really looking at how we use screeners because there are screeners for different things. But if you're going to give a screener, you have to be able to serve the students where they are and deal with the results that you get. And so that is very, very important. They did say in the legislation that the screener is not to be used alone for special education identification or anything like that. It's one piece of data. So it really would be looking at the results very carefully to see if a student needed additional assessments through kind of that avenue, or if it is more intervention. And then when we would be looking at our early literacy intervention systems, if we were to implement the science of reading, for example, has a real great way to address when students have reading difficulty. So it'll be about, once we give this assessment, looking at our data and looking at our resources and what do we need to do.
Because it's more like a first filter of
Mhm.
all the students to just think, I would imagine, and I didn't roll this out, but right now, if the teacher identifies a student whose risk of reading, they apply, they'll direct them to this thing, but now everybody gets it in case the teacher didn't identify them, right? And so then they can focus on that.
It helps so that
Brings it up
students
to
don't
light.
fall through the cracks.
Right, brings it up to light sooner. And
Exactly.
then maybe additional testing would be, obviously tell the parent, right? Additional testing. and
Absolutely.
Then maybe what can we do? What research do we have? To help them.
Right,
person, Right? So
exactly.
that's kind of the game plan for that, which is all new.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Thank
I'm
you.
not done. I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
So also, you talked about the Mandarin curriculum, right?
Yes.
And the assessment, and I was able to attend some of the sessions with Tiffany Zhang. And I think she doesn't get enough credit because she's doing a fantastic job. She's well informed. She answers to the parents. She has all the answers to the questions. She seems always prepared. Everything is rolled out. I think she's doing a terrific job, and she's really placed, that's a part of the school that we've been missing for a long, long time. And so she's really placed, I say, on the map for that particular function of the language skill, of the Chinese language skill, I'm gonna call it dual immersion, all that, and placed our kids on the track. The ones that were graduating, some of them are on the path for that.
They earned
seal.
the Seal of
Yeah,
High Literacy
yeah.
Pathway Award.
I mean,
Several fifth graders did as well.
yeah, I know.
Actually, a lot of fifth graders. won
So
the award.
they're, really identified that and firm that whole
Yes.
educational path and goal for the kids, because when they graduate high school, they'll get that seal, and that's a big,
Absolutely.
big plus.
Mhm.
And then the last thing I have is, I really appreciate that you're getting into the curriculum review process and the communication strategies. Really sounds like you're jumping in there with both your feet. So I'm really looking forward to the implementation there, and I'll be watching. I just wanted to
Absolutely.
let you know.
And I do know
Those
that,
two things are huge.
that I can say all this, but the really important thing is going to be doing what I say I'm going
Right,
to do
right, absolutely.
and following through.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the risk assessment.
Yes.
Is that conducted in English, right?
So the one that we've adopted is available in English and Spanish at this time. Again, this is the first year. So of the 4 choices, there were no additional languages. One was English only, 3 were English, Spanish. We felt at least having the one option would be great. And then the state did give guidance if if English or Spanish are not their home language, which is often the case at IIA, of how do we address reading difficulties in those students? And that was that decision tree I showed that the team would go through. But my hope is also that as this rolls out for California Department of Education, these assessments would be available in more languages.
Yeah, because the question is really, some the reading difficulties could be attributed to many factors, right? I mean,
Mhm.
language, family, hereditary. I wouldn't say genetics, but sometimes
Mhm.
do have a.
And when students have another native language, it's harder to identify
Yeah.
when there are real reading risks. Mhm.
Exactly. I mean, how you can address that issue.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Another question, I feel with Stephanie John, right? Stephanie involvement, I feel, I'm sorry.
Tiffany, yes.
Tiffany, yeah, Tiffany.
It's
Tiffany's
close.
involvement, I feel, quite comfortable with the Mandarin language process because you gotta an expert involved.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure she or the teachers have conducted comparative studies or benchmarking studies against the other dual immersion programs.
In other places, I've had those conversations with her, I know so far is really kind of learning from and looking at other dual language programs out there.
Yeah.
In my kind of director's report, I was also going to share, she's become involved in some very important groups. One is CABE, California for Bilingual Education, and we had representation of these groups at our promotions, at both our 5th grade and our 8th grade promotions. So really kind of aligning to these associations that support dual immersion programs and other language programs. So yes, we're looking very carefully to make sure that we're on the cutting edge and really doing a good job with our implementation.
Yeah, because of all, social studies, science, and math, you got a lot of schools, right? Can benchmark against.
Yes.
Yeah, but really, the unique part for our schools, dual language program.
And
Dual immersion, yeah.
the current administration brought in 2 different assessments.
Yeah.
Which is level learning as well as the Apple assessment. And they've allowed us to really dig deeper and see how our students are performing. One of the pieces that I was very impressed by is it seems when students start with us younger, they're doing even better on these assessments of grade level proficiency in Mandarin. And so it's wonderful data to look at. And that was presented as well.
Great. Just one more question, if you will. Yeah. Yeah, on the third question is really kind of covers comprehensive sexual health education. That's because in last board meeting, a lot of parents raised concerns, issues with that. I think we gotta be particularly careful about the selection process. And you also mentioned the pilot process, right? Pilot, if I understand correctly, meaning a trial period.
Oh, a pilot?
Yeah.
So yes, the difficulty.
Session.
So with the curriculum that we have, let's say social studies or Mandarin, it's taught every day. So pilots are easier to give where you take a pilot from some curriculum, but because the comprehensive sexual education units are very short, it's in May, a few units in 8th grade only. It's hard, and this year we only had 15 students. It's hard to pilot multiple curricula at the same time. And so really looking at, what we've had, we also know we do have parents who lean towards one curriculum or another. And so I think my goal is to focus on process, and I don't want to get ahead of that process, and really providing information and getting input. And then we will make the best decision for IIA. Not everyone will be happy with every decision that we make because we know that we have a large student body, but I think what I've heard loud and clear is that our parents want to be heard. And, regardless if it's a third pilot, if we decide to utilize a curriculum that we've already used, depending on how the process works out, the ability to opt your own child out is always going to be an option. So our families will always have that option, even regardless of what we end up selecting. So people can make individual decisions. This process is for a school decision.
Got you. That's a comforting. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have 2 questions. One, when we're saying adoption, how long are we adopting for? Is that a 3-year, 2-year cycle?
It usually depends,
Yeah.
And that's part of the process as well. Some of it's financial, so we can sometimes adopt over 3 years, sometimes we can adopt over 6 years. I have, if there were more concerns or more things to look at, I've done adoptions that are single-year adoptions. So I think that's part of that review process, is looking at the comfort level with the curriculum and the adoption cycle. Sometimes also the curriculum may have what's the right word, an update that's coming out and they know it. And so we may say, okay, we'll adopt for 2 years because they're going to have, the publisher will have their update and we want to review any updates before we maintain. So it's a lot of factors, but that will be part of what we bring to the board, will be how many years or what the adoption is for. I think most of the time here we're doing 3-year adoptions is what I've seen. So, but again, we'll look at that case by case.
Okay. And yeah, thank you for outlining the process, the strategies. I think that's excellent. It definitely provides a roadmap for future. With regard to the sexual health education curriculum, I think we're aware of the HEART curriculum being recommended by some parents. They prefer that one in particular. So as we go through our scan of what other schools are using, it would be good for us also to be very intentional to try to find out who is using HEART curriculum. I'm only aware of one charter school, but we need to learn what
Yes.
they're doing and what they're supplementing it with.
Yes.
And maybe we can reach out to the publisher and maybe they would let us know what other schools are using their curriculum and what may be supplemented with it. So we could do more specific intentional research on that.
Yes,
Because that
well,
one
that'll be
seems
part
to
of that
be-
as well with that crosswalk. And also what's interesting is when we did use the HEART curriculum, we only had 7th grade students. We didn't have any 8th grade students. And the curriculum is different for 7th and 8th grade. And the other charter school that you're speaking of, when I looked on their website, not I'll be calling them, but it did state on their website that they used the 7th grade curriculum. So I'm not sure if we have reviewed what the 8th grade curriculum looks like. I was able, Mr. Schmitter helped to get it for me. So I do have a copy, and that again is going to be part of my summer. I have not had the quiet time to sit and read it yet. But that is what's, coming with these summer days is, so it's not only just looking at, I'm going to look at everything, and my hope is just to share information of the findings. It won't be the end all be all, but I really want to come in when we start our work in January informed and be able to share that information with our families.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, moving next to financial update. Mr. Jones, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Good evening. Thank you for your patience.
No problem at all. Thank you, guys. So I don't have a May financial update. We're still closing out the month of May. I believe I did provide the check register. I'll give you just a quick update on where we are. So we'll close out in May, obviously, within the next week or so, once we get all the reports and documentation that we need for that. And then obviously we can provide that if need be. But other than that, really and specifically, we can dive into, I guess when that comes up, the budget and all the other documents related to that for approval. But as of now, it's a bit early in the month, only the first week here, so I don't have all the info to close out May to provide anything. Oh, we can move on to the next agenda item.
Yes, please. Yep, no questions. Thank you.
I think the next item is the LCAP. So that would be on Amy.
Moving on to items for discussion and possible action. Approve 2025-2026 local control and accountability plan, the LCAP. The local control and accountability plan and annual update provide details regarding actions and expenditures to support pupil outcomes and overall performance pursuant to California Education Code sections 52060, 52066, 47605.5, and 47606.5. California Education Code Section 52060 requires the governing board of each LEA to adopt the LCAP and annual update using a template adopted by the State Board of Education. LEAs must also ensure that educational partners were consulted in the development of the 2025-2026 LCAP and were also provided information regarding the annual update. LCAP goal action, all LCAP goal and actions, funding source, LCFF, budget, financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the board of directors approve action item A. Is there a motion?
Oh, I'll make a motion, sir.
Thank you, Felipe. Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Aye. Okay. So I'm gonna do one more time. I didn't hear. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Okay, moving to B, approve 2025-2026 school budget. IA is required by law to adopt a budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year no later than June 30th, 2025. The final budgets for 2025-2026 are based upon revenue assumptions outlined within the governor's May revise, as well as school-specific assumptions for revenue and expenditures, and will incorporate expenditures listed in the local control accountability plan, LCAPs, LCAP goal action, all LCAP goals and actions, funding source, all funding sources, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the board of directors approve action item B. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, David. I'm happy to second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. It passes. Moving to C, approve 2025-2026 bell schedules and instructional minutes for California Education Code 46200 to 46208. Schools must provide minimum minutes of instructional time based on grade levels. Proposed bell schedules and instructional minutes adhere to these minimum requirements. LCAP goal action not applicable, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the board of directors approve action item C. Is there a motion? Thank you, Molly. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, David. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
You know, I'd like a discussion.
Yes.
Time to discuss.
Yeah, yeah,
You should have discussion before the vote, right?
If you'd like to.
Okay, I'd like a minute to discuss the bell schedule. So I was looking at this, and I know that this year that Amy company Grant didn't really, they inherited the bell schedule from the year before, from somebody else. They had to take them. Have you, Stephanie, had a chance to look at the bell schedule before we go through this? Because I know there were some issues with the bell schedule and the way that I would say operationally with moving all those kids from one side to the other, getting them out and stuff like that, that was a problem, a little bit of issue. And so have you looked at this bell schedule? And
So yes, it was sent to me and then we had some discussions about specifics and I've had the opportunity to ask questions to better understand.
how this is gonna work, right? Because I know it's changed from what I could tell. I can only really gauge it from my kids' grade level. I haven't seen everybody, you know, there's the TK and the kindergarten and those areas. So you're happy with the bell schedule before we get through all this.
Yes. as
Go
I'm
down the
like,
line, we
you
can't
know,
change it.
Seeing it, things like that. Absolutely.
Just wanted to double check with you because I know it was a problem, a little bit of a problem. This year, you just inherited it. And to start getting executed it. There was some.
We talked about why some changes were made and I think that was based on their experience from last year.
Right, and you're moving the kids around, like when they're coming in, noticed the times changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Grade levels and things like that to facilitate better flow of the drop off and the pickup.
Especially the pickup, not having, right now we have a really long amount of time between the different grade levels pickup time. And that has created some issues even for parents trying to pick kids up, and having, fourth question in between. So, based on that feedback, and even this year, we put out a survey, I think, in November and wound up changing the bell schedule for the second half of the year based on parent feedback.
I don't want to hear any complaining about the bells going this year. All right. Good.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask again, is there a motion?
I'll motion so.
Thank you, Felipe. Is there a second? Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none.
I was on. No, actually, I was thinking about something else.
Okay, we're gonna do that again.
I do it again.
We're gonna do it.
I'm sorry.
Okay, is there a first motion?
I motion so.
Thank you, Felipe. Is there a second? Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes.
Okay, now I'd like to say, I just happened to notice the amount of instructional minutes, right? We exceeded now as the minimum standard. Exceeded quite a bit, which explains why my fourth grader is going to be complaining. My eighth grader too, now that they see that. So no, that's great. I think the more time they have, facilitate their education is better. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, moving on to next item D, approve the job description for the physical education teacher. This new job description was created to outline the current job duties and requirements for the IA K-8 physical education teacher, as these duties and requirements differ from the regular elementary teacher position. LCAP goal action 2025-2026, LCAP goal 1 action 2, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the board of directors approve action item D. Any comments?
This was just an additional, job description to make sure that we had a job description specifically for PE teacher. Our PE teacher is returning, next year, as far as he's told us now. This was just kind of to make sure, as Betsy was doing all of the job descriptions, that we had an accurate job description for PE teacher. Because it is very different than what a regular elementary or regular middle school teacher would do. And so we wanted to make sure that it really reflected the job duties of it.
And our returning PE teacher satisfies all the criteria within the job description.
He does, correct.
So he does. I heard there was rumor that there might be an assistant PE teacher.
Yes, you guys actually, when you were approving the job descriptions during the last board meeting, approved the PE instructional assistant job description.
So I just wanted to be sure this is different than that.
This is different than that. So this is for a fully credentialed PE teacher. And then that would, almost all of our classes have an instructional assistant. And with our, our numbers growing, we wanted to make sure that the teacher also has an instructional assistant.
So he is an instructional. Has that position been filled? I'm kind of going off the rails here. But
Not yet. So that position, along with the other positions that Mr. Schmitter was talking about, will be filled in the summer.
Well, for that, the assistant teacher, I know that the teacher will be like a panel, there'll be reviews. Would the assistant PE teacher also be in that criteria in that? Will they have that? Will they have the opportunity to review who that person is? Also, just like the curriculum teacher, I'm gonna call. He's a
Yes,
curriculum
we
teacher.
go through the same process. It might be some different people,
Right.
yes, on the panel. And if you're asking, will the teacher be?
Not the teacher, the assistant, Would the assistant PE teacher also have to go through the interview cycle
Yes.
and parent input kind of thing?
We will have a process for every position that we hire this
Okay,
summer.
including the assistant?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I want to. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? So I have a question around this because I know on our website, we talk about our curriculum as it relates to the Chinese or the math, for English, for science, these things, but we don't really talk much about what happens in PE. You know, I hear it as a parent, what they do in PE, and it sounds like it's a lot of running.
Well, go ahead and then I'll jump in. We've had.
So we've actually been talking about this throughout this year, and I know Mr. Schmitter has been working currently with Coach K to get curriculum maps completed around PE, like we have for our other subject areas. I'm also working with our music teacher to do them for music, as well as our new STEAM teacher will be working with them to do that as well. So that we do have, like for the other subject areas, we do have an outline of the different types of activities that they do in relation, because there are standards for PE as well. So how we're meeting those standards, just like we would be for language arts or math or any other subject. So, so for starting off next year, that will be something that we're for those other subjects as well.
We're starting that conversation. She answered pretty much everything I was gonna say, except, in those pre-service days, I like to call them the week of welcome, and we'll have different activities, and part of that is, really presenting the expectation of the scope and sequence, and depending, some of our subject areas will be further along, or grade levels will be further along, and some will need more time, but, that is the work ahead.
Yeah, you know, physical activity being so important for the students. So I'm also curious about what is our philosophy on PE here at the school. You know, I don't feel like we talk about it much, and it's an important aspect. The kids love to be outside and they love to be active and doing things. So how are we inspiring them with sport, with group activities, team-oriented activities, these things? Engagement. Yeah, I think. I'm just wondering if we can.
So that's
Think
part of
about
that
that.
alignment as well, because the PE standards do include all of those different things. So being instructed on different team sports, as well as, you know, working as a team versus, you know, an individual. All of those things are actually addressed in the physical education standards. And so I think really mapping that out and aligning to the standards. I mean, there's everything in there from gymnastics to, you know, soccer, different, all different types of activities. So I think really aligning them and making sure that we're hitting each one of those standards will allow for a lot more variety in our PE classes, as well as just making sure that students are getting exposure to a lot of different sports, a lot of different types of activities, a lot of things to really increase their engagement. Because I know, you know, I was not a kid who liked to run, but I did like to play sports. So, you know, I wouldn't have been as engaged if we were mostly running. I would have wanted to do other things. So I think just incorporating a lot of those different things, and to having it mapped really to the standards will ensure that we're covering all different areas.
And utilizing that PE day in order to break groups into small groups will allow for direct instruction and further engagement. So we're hoping that with the extra support will come the engagement and also the work groups.
Thank you.
So I'd like to springboard up a little bit what Brett said there. So when I look at the website, our website, you know, I mean, there is an entry for PE, physical education, right? But it's very sparse here. I mean, I would like to see that once you get that curriculum or that architecture of all that this gets updated, because I think you're right, Brett. You know, we talk about a lot of the curriculum and language and all those other things that we cover. This is one section that I think this is the same page that we did originally, you know, back in the day. And so I'd like to see this, you know, informative to the parents of what's going on. And also, I noticed that under the music program, it's also blank. So you're working on a curriculum for the music program. I'd like to see her. I think before we had like a vision of the previous, music teacher vision of their plan and said that maybe something along the lines of what we were talking about earlier, that, you know, something explain what they expect and what parents or new parents can expect from the school. It needs to be there. I know it's explained, so I know she's been doing a great job, but she has a lot of kids to deal with, right?
Yeah, and with our new technology, court specialist, their job will also be to help update the website, and make sure that, you know,
Right.
hard as a teacher to put that on there, but the teachers will create it and then they'll be able to actually update.
Right,
the
so the
website.
teacher will create the content that will go in here based on.
Yeah, and then he'll be able to update.
Alright.
Every area of what we offer should be intentional.
It's part of the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every area. Thank you.
I know.
Yes.
Question regarding the physical demands, occasionally lift or move 25 pounds. Is that a standard?
It's pretty standard,
Okay.
In most job descriptions.
Okay.
So it's, you know, it's basically covering the fact that they may have to lift and move things.
Not that heavy.
Not that heavy, no, and there's not that much of them. So they're really gonna be lifting and moving. Most of our major equipment is already built in.
Okay, it's recommend the board of directors approve action item D. Is there a motion?
I'll motion, so.
Thank you, Felipe. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, David. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Item E, approved job description and work calendar for speech and language pathologists. This new job description is created to hire a speech and language pathologist to provide special education services to IA students. With a growing special education population, it's beneficial to have an in-house speech and language pathologist instead of contracting the services to outside providers. LCAP goal action 2025-2026. LCAP goal 1, action 2, funding source general fund, budget financial impact, starting salary of $64,105 with a $3,590 stipend. Already reflected in the 2025-2026 proposed budget. It's recommended the board of directors approve action item E.
I have a question. So this would be an in-house, right?
Yes.
We're gonna hire that a full-time, that's a full-time job.
Full time.
And versus, in the past, we contract out, right? What is annual cost?
So
Contract.
So when we contract out,
don't know.
yeah, so when we contract out, normally the salary, well, it's almost double, when we pay for an in-house person, because we're paying for a company as well as that person. So it's probably, right now, compared to, it would depend on who we hire for this role, but we're paying about the same amount for a person for 3 days a week. So once you get above a 2-day-a-week contracted out person, it really becomes beneficial for us to just have an in-house person, because then instead of paying the same amount for 3 days, we get that person for 5 days and they can help out with other areas. So at this point, with our current special education population, especially because the vast majority of our students who are receiving special ed services are receiving speech and language services. And this year, our number of students who've been assessed and eligible for special education has more than doubled. So with that, it is definitely more cost effective for us to hire an in-house person, but also that person then becomes part of our staff. They can, they are, better part of our IA community. And in looking at some of the different areas that we can use that person, maybe to do some, social skills groups during the day or during lunch, kind of helping out in other areas with some of our students as well. It'll be very beneficial to have that student.
So the
here.
projected demand is more than adequate to kind of warrant.
Yeah, it's gonna
a
be at
full-time
least for
position.
next year, even if we were contracting out, we'd have to contract someone out at least 4 days a week. And so it really doesn't make any sense to not have her up.
So the reason we have this, I should think of it, that as the volume of the school increase more, especially with kids. So it's just
economically practical. It's it's out that way. And I was gonna bring up that other point. So what other activities would this person have? Because like, let's say it's 4 days a week, right? So what are they gonna do on the 5th day, right? So
again, helping out with different social groups, because they can help out with, kind of how to communicate with other students. And also like if if two students are having issues, they can work out, they can work with those students to kind of work on their communication skills, even if they're not special education students.
they participate in like the after-school enrichment program, right? So they could participate in that. I'm not exactly sure how, but.
I mean, they're full-time, just like any other full-time employee.
So
Yeah.
that's the goal with the change from Strategic Kids is to now have our enrichment program. She could be
Yeah, if she
something-
wanted to run a group on
whatever.
speech and debate or communication skills or
Right.
something like that, she could run an after school. She or
She or he.
our current SLP is a she.
So
We have the same name.
So that obviously that particular subject could be, that's available to her. So that's not in her job description. It just happens to be available. But as far as other activities for the school itself, like, let's say we had her, I don't know, on the 5th day where she doesn't have a class and, her curriculum's already prepared and, on that day, what else would she do around here? I mean, could she help out with activities like that? I don't know, like, when the assembly, when you guys have an assembly, could she help out with the assembly?
Just like any other full-time employee.
So does that portion of the work need to be in? Things like that.
That's the
miscellaneous?
duties as assigned.
Okay, okay.
But,
So that-
and so just in any teacher or
Oh,
employee,
other
there's
duties
other
as-
duties
A
as
lot
assigned.
of duties and responsibilities.
I'm sure she's gonna be busy,
But
right?
she'll be very busy with her own.
And maybe they can coach the board members.
But other duties as assigned could make her available to help out. around here.
Just like any other employee.
Just like the other employees, so she's not just limited to that.
Nope, that's why we have that in all of our employee job descriptions.
All right, just want to be sure.
So I recall we had somebody that was part-time. We contracted out, is that right?
We did, it was, they were part-time, but a part-time contractor, so they weren't an actual employee.
Okay.
We actually switched that because in the special ed realm, you can't really do that because you can't contract out with somebody who isn't approved by the state.
Yeah.
So if it's our own employee, then they don't have to go through that state approval process. So that's why we switched special ed service providers this year, was to make sure that we had a provider that was approved in all of our special ed areas through the state. And then this way, this allows us to have an in-house person.
Need to say, because I have friends are speech and language pathologists. They can always use their expertise to do a lot of social, you mentioned about social, and some of the kids are very shy, not really willing to talk. They can have special time with them, help them to build up that confidence. Yeah, there's a lot. This person will be very busy.
Yes.
It's not like I'm imagining that she's sitting around, right? But there's a lot of tasks, miscellaneous tasks at the school that, they can always use an extra pair of hands. So I want to make sure. Everybody-
I would add, free consulting service to some board members.
Yeah. Or something.
So actually, sometimes when the teacher notices that a child, for example, can really pronounce certain words, but before they go through the testing, identify they need an IEP to do that, this person can go and just spend some time to talk to them. Because they're the expert. They will figure, they have different ways to get those kids.
And I presume they ask the parent first.
Usually,
If they're getting services.
if
yeah.
they're getting services, so usually the teacher will let the parents know first.
Give them the option.
And sometimes through an SSD process or other things that are not all the way to to be on an individual education.
All right.
Okay, on this particular item, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Felipe. Is there a second? Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Item F, approve revised certificated salary schedule and stipend descriptions. The certificated salary schedule and stipend descriptions have been revised to include a stipend of $3,590 for speech and language pathologist, and to clarify the type of units that can be used for salary advancement. LCAP goal action 2025-2026, LCAP goal 1, action 2, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the board of directors approve action item F. Any comments?
So this one pertains to LE, right? Specific wording to
Yeah, so it's really just adding the speech pathologist stipend on there because there would be on the regular teacher salary schedule with that additional stipend. And then based on some feedback from staff, we just wanted to clarify exactly that they were, because there's difference between quarter units and semester units. And so we just wanted to clarify that when we look at salary placement, we do it based off of semester units or their equivalent.
Forward to seeing the speech pathologist.
Any more comments on this item? Questions? Okay, so recommend the board of directors approve action item F. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Felipe. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Item G, approve the instructional continuity plan, Senate Bill 153, Chapter 38 statutes of 2024, hereinafter SB 153 adds revision to California Education Code, Section 32282, requiring local educational agencies, LEAs, to adopt a plan to ensure all students can access instruction during a natural disaster or emergency. The instructional continuity plan must be included in an LEA's comprehensive school safety plan by July 1st, 2025. A locally adopted CSSP must include an ICP to obtain approval of a Form J13A waiver request beginning in fiscal year 2026-27. These requirements apply to school districts, county offices of education, and charter schools. LCAP goal action 2025-2026, LCAP goal 2, action 5, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the board of directors approve action item G. Any comments?
It's just a requirement for us to add this to our safety plan based on our current, some of our current natural disasters and emergencies starting with COVID that we had to make sure that every school has a plan for continuing education in any type of disaster or emergency.
Who had input into creating this? Who was the one?
So Mario kind of oversaw the plan, but then he was doing the updates with the safety committee and other staff members as well.
Yeah, because there's a lot here. There's quite a bit here. Good to know that that's part of Mario's function to view or create and review these documents. Prepare. So, yeah, so you'd be instrumental if this ever had to be executed.
Yeah, and in his role in operations, that makes sense.
There's a lot here. Try to get through it. There's a lot. 16 pages. Something like that. Something. Yeah, 16.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, once again.
I'm gonna test Mario on a couple of things there when I see him.
Once again, it's recommended board of directors approve action item G. Is there a motion?
I motion so.
Thank you, Felipe. Is there a second? Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Item H, approve the Proposition 28 Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials 2024-2025 Annual Report, 2023-2024 Final Expenditure Report, and 2025-2026 Annual Plan. On November 8, 2022, California voters approved Proposition 28, the Arts and Music in Schools Funding Guarantee and Accountability Act. The measures require the state to establish a new ongoing program supporting arts instruction in schools beginning in 2023-2024. Local educational agencies, LEAs, must approve a plan, an annual board report, and final expenditure plan in a manner determined by the superintendent. It shall be posted on the local educational agencies' websites, and that details the type of arts education programs funded by the program, the number of full-time equivalent teachers, classified personnel, and teaching aides, and the number of pupils served. LCAP goal action not applicable, funding source, Proposition 28 funds, budget financial impact $85,169, already reflected in the 2025-2026 proposed budget. Any comments?
So this mainly funds our music and STEAM teachers. It's supposed to really be used on staffing.
So when we started this, 2021 inaugural year, this wasn't available. So in essence, this helps, after that year
To help fund, to help fund our STEAM and music teachers, as well as some of the equipment related to STEAM and music.
So that's only 2023.
Started in 2023, 24, and I believe we only got about $25,000 a year. Last year we got about 46, last year we got about 46,000. So it has been steadily increasing.
So we'll get $85,000.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, we'll take it.
Please approve us to get it.
It's recommended the board of directors approve action item H. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, David. I'm happy to second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Item I, approve the renewal of IA's insurance through Charter Safe for the 2025-2026 school year. Charter Safe insurance renewal proposal for the fiscal year 2025-2026 program year includes insurance coverage for general liability, excess liability, commercial property, workers' compensation, crime, excess crime, directors and officer employment practices liability, fiduciary, cyber liability, and student accident. LCAP goal action not applicable. Funding source general fund. Budget financial impact $167,437, already reflected in the 2025-2026 proposed budget. Any comments?
Just have a few questions.
Yeah.
Just a few questions.
Please.
So when I look at the employee count, it says, I can't read it, 76?
Right.
Is that, who does that include in general? I know it's employee, but
So
for
it would be all,
teachers
it would
that,
include all of our full and part-time employees. So, so that would be all of our IAs, our custodians, our teachers, administrators, office staff, anybody that is employed here.
anybody who's actually getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
Who's actually getting a paycheck. Okay. And then I looked at the cost, obviously it's substantial, right? But there's a payment plan, right?
Yeah, so
We're not paying it all up front, right? We're
no, we
doing
pay
that.
it monthly.
We pay whatever it is. Oh, we pay monthly. Does it
Well,
say?
this year we pay monthly. I think next year we'll probably pay quarterly because we have a little.
Well, it doesn't, if I'm looking at this correctly, that's not an option, right? There's either a payment in full or deposit and then 9 installments.
Yeah, it's a
Is that
deposit and then we pay monthly.
So it's the deposit and then we pay the money.
We pay the monthly, yeah.
Okay, because that's a free, no interest loan, by the way.
Yes.
I did the math there, so that's, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, worth it. Okay, good. Just want to make sure we're doing that. Questions?
Do you know what we paid last year?
So we paid about $20,000 less last year, so that would be, there was an increase in just overall insurance costs.
Yeah.
As well as the increase of the number of students and staff that we're projecting next year.
And do we go to market for this?
Usually we'll do that every 3 years,
Okay.
so, so technically, next year should probably be for, and next year we're definitely, well, I'm not gonna be here, but, Betsy and I are recommending
Yeah.
that we, go out to bid for our health insurance. And at the same time, it would be good to go out to bid for our general liability insurance as well.
So, this is per year, basically.
Per year.
Yeah, so,
I mean, it's in line with what most other charter schools pay as a single entity. You know, our insurance is a little bit higher than
Yeah.
if we had a huge corporation.
Yeah.
But Charter Safe has pretty good rates and are comparable to what I've seen in other charter schools, even that don't use Charter Safe. But it is a good process to go out to bid next year for both the health insurance and the general insurance.
I was gonna ask, what is the coverage? So when you're talking about liabilities
So we're required to hold certain amounts of insurance through our charter as well as our facilities use agreement with the IUST. And so this policy covers those requirements that they have. But there's also coverage like for our for you guys as board officers. And then over the last couple of years, we've added in cybersecurity because of the world that we live in now. And then it does cover general student accident insurance, workers' comp insurance, and then just our general and excess liability.
Okay. What is the total liability? And
I don't want to speak out. It changes based on what our.
55 million?
Yeah.
I think it's the total.
Yeah.
55 million.
Or liability,
Yeah, so we're kind of guided by what our authorizers and the IUSD require. of
55
us.
million, that's for the total annually, right?
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
Accumulated.
This is the one you're interested.
$5 million per company.
so,
That's your-
Dr. Henry, if I could
So I can see something.
ask if
over
we could
there.
get some visibility of all the vendors and when we're gonna go to market with them, how long each contract is for, and maybe we come up with a schedule as to how often we wanna go through this exercise, and how far in advance we need to do the exercise in order to make sure that we don't lapse in coverage. I see this is for July 1st, so this is tough here, but it's worthwhile. I mean, we have a broker, right? We have an insurance broker.
We do for health insurance, for our general liability insurance. Charter Safe is our.
Yeah, it has always been,
It always
and
is.
we've never used a broker.
Yeah.
There are
Well,
brokers,
they're our insurance company, we don't use brokers.
we don't use a broker, but there are brokers that could go up to market, right?
There are, normally we would just,
Yeah.
we would put out the bid, and then different insurance companies
Okay.
would bid on it for our regular
Okay.
insurance. But we do currently use a broker for our health insurance.
Okay, yeah, I think it'd be helpful to just to get some visibility. Maybe we can just discuss it at least during a meeting and talk about how often we should do it, please.
Oh, I was gonna say also with our switch to CSNC, I know Mary Beth, that was one of the things that I kind of noticed coming in, is that we don't have a really comprehensive list of vendors. And so that's something that she's been working on already with CSNC to have a list of vendors, also more of a vendor packet that vendors have to fill out. And then along with that, kind of looking at, when do we look going out to bid for different vendors? So even school food services or health insurance, I know there really hasn't been, we've kind of just had the same stuff since the beginning. I don't want to make too many changes, too many different things this year, but that's definitely something to look at for next year.
Okay, especially working with the back office provider, getting the systems in place.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I want to suggest it, have a pre-discussion on this, right? I mean, we maybe you have a comparison. So last year we worked with different different.
So this is the
insurance
same
companies,
one.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
same.
it's the same one.
Okay, so like.
So same.
3 years.
So the rate is pretty much the same.
Yeah, yeah.
It's more.
20,000.
It's more because
10,000.
we've grown and then just.
Oh, yeah,
insurance
because we have more people, right? Potential
More students, more, and we, yeah,
liability, so.
More students, more staff.
more students, more staff,
So the
more, a
increase
bigger
by-
building,
Yeah, increased by 20,000
yeah,
premium.
yeah, the same company we have.
At least for one.
Yeah.
At least for one. For this year.
And can we compare to other insurance providers? This is a broker or this is a?
No, it's not, it's insurance.
Insurance
Insurance
provider.
company.
So,
So it's 3 years.
And usually would start going out to bid in November, December to have enough time, to make sure if we stayed with them or switched to another company. They don't provide us the insurance update until they gave it to us 2 weeks ago. If their quote, so we would wanna kind of go out to bid to get those quotes a lot earlier.
so what's our policy state on going to market?
We follow the normal bid process, so it's part of our fiscal policies, and the state of California for nonprofits has a bid process
Yeah.
that we follow.
Yeah. But in terms of for contract sizes of a certain size, we need IA needs to.
I needs
Yeah.
to go out to bid.
Yeah.
Well, so as a charter school, we technically don't fall under the rules of having to go out to bid at a certain amount, although we usually will follow what normal public schools
Yeah.
do. So that we are going out to bid, if it is for a sizable contract, like insurance, or if it was for a facility or something like that.
But I'm just trying to remember back if we had some policy where if the contract size was over a certain dollar amount that we would be.
We don't specifically say that we will go out to bid over a specific dollar amount. That's something that, we're
Yeah.
decide to add into the fiscal policies, that isn't right now normally. We would just follow what the state of California, has for other public schools.
I know I got a lot of questions. Yeah, a couple more. I know it's late, but I got, so when does this policy actually go into effect?
July 1st.
So July 1st, it goes into effect for the 25-26.
Yeah, that's our fiscal year.
So it's part of the the cost, it's part of the 25-26 year budget.
Yes, and it's already been added into
It's
that
been
budget.
applied there. Okay,
Yes.
very interesting.
So it's in the budget that that we presented last board meeting.
Yes.
Okay, it's recommended the board of directors approve action item I. Is there a motion?
I'll motion so.
Thank you, Felipe. Is there a second? Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Moving on to item J, approve the renewal of the contract with Fresh Start Healthy Meals. IA is entering into a contract with Fresh Start Healthy Meals to provide breakfast and lunch from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. LCAP goal action applicable, funding source, general fund, budget financial impact, $228,239 already reflected in the 2025-2026 proposed budget. Any comments?
We did actually go out to bid for this, before this year. We were using Rev Foods, and then, it was changed to Fresh Start, prior to this school year. So we've had it for 1 year, so we could, technically it would likely, usually be for 3 years, that we would wait to go out to bid.
So this is year 2.
This coming up would be year 2.
Okay.
Do we know, if the families are happy with?
It's kind of, from kind of anecdotal.
Yeah.
It's split, We have more choices, and informed breakfast choices and have had, somewhat positive feedback, as far as the taste of the meals. They're, maybe on our backside, they can sometimes be a little more difficult to work with than Red Foods, but as far as, kind of outward, it's school lunches, so it's never
Yeah.
100% 100% positive.
So I can give you a little bit of history on that. The previous years, school lunches were more. I would say the big difference between the two is the packaging of the lunch is better this year, with this group. Because the previous lunches tend to be in plastic bags, and they're heated in that bag, because we just use hot air. to
You
heat
just
it.
heat 'em up.
And so if you get it in the first 5-10 minutes, it's all right, but then after that. So getting it out of the plastic bag, because the plastic is not on the food. Now they're like in little trays.
Like little TV dinners.
TV dinner kind of things. And so at least they're not getting that plastic on it, that's getting heated and stuff like that. But you're right, depends on the big one.
I'm not gonna say that's good,
But that's because of the nutritional requirements, right, that they have to stay within, so they obviously cannot be handled.
This is a new window?
It was new last.
New,
year.
this last
Oh,
year.
it's previous, but this.
This school year was their
Year
first
like still this school. Yeah, it was new for this school year. That was the improvement. Now, I personally noticed, I think the food was better in the beginning of the year. And as it moved to the end of the year, it seemed to degrade a little bit. So that's my personal opinion of it. So I don't know. We definitely have to keep an eye on this.
Yeah.
And let them know that, next year we're gonna go out. Yeah, this is stuff. Because I think the quality, we gotta let them know that we're watching for the quality as much as we can. So I also noticed that the ordering process, sorry, David, but the ordering process improved quite a bit. We don't have so many leftover things.
Yeah, Jamie's been doing a really good job of
Yeah.
really kind of keeping track and trying to make sure that teachers, especially like if a teacher's gonna have a class party, that we decrease the number of meals that we
Right,
have for
yeah,
that
yeah.
day and really kind of keeping track of that, so we don't have
There's
a lot of
not
excess.
this excess that they're trying to get rid of at the end of the day or
Yeah.
whatever, something like that. I would recommend though, I noticed that the field trip meals, and sometimes when we provide the field trip meals, those are pretty substantial. I would like to see that the field trip meals, is it the same vendor?
It's the same vendor.
That when it's a field trip meal, that needs to be improved a little bit, because I've been on the field trips with the kids and then they hand out the meals. Yeah, they certainly don't appreciate it, but I don't think that feedback gets back all the way to here. Right, so that's something that I think we need to talk to them about, see what they can do to improve that. And then next year, let's look at a better food thing here. I think our kids deserve that, so.
So I did a calculation, so you got a price increase of 4.something%.
For the food. Yeah.
For the food, so that would also relate to the increase in the number of students that we're projecting next year.
No, I'm talking about price increase. So it's price increase.
So the prices are regulated by the state.
Okay.
Per student meal based on how much the state is willing to pay for the meals. And so we don't really have much to do with that because we get reimbursed for those student meals. So that the contracts aren't and any price increases are actually done at the state level.
Okay, any other comments, questions? It's recommended the board of directors approve action item J. Is there a motion?
I motion so.
Thank you, Felipe. Happy to second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, we're gonna do that one again. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Okay, moving to item K, approve a draw from the Endeavor Bank line of credit for $375,000 in order to pay the loan from Lendonate and not incur an additional 2% interest charge for extending the loan. It's necessary to draw $375,000 from the Endeavor line of credit. Although we're projecting a $500,000 positive operating income for the 2024-2025 school year, we do not get all of our state and federal disbursements until the end of the summer. $375,000 is also projected to cover any budgetary shortfalls at the beginning of the 2025-2026 school year, while we wait for the larger apportionments that are dispersed in February. LCAP goal action not applicable, funding source Endeavor revolving line of credit. Budget financial impact 9% annual interest rate for length of draw on the line, already reflected in the 2025-26 proposed budget. Comments?
So this is, I mean, as we talked about at the beginning of this year, we don't get the majority of our funding until later on in the year. This actually allows us, just with the $375,000, Delano and I did the cash flow projection. That was part of the budget at the last board meeting. And this should not only cover what we have to pay back for the Lendonate loan until we get the rest of our funding for this year at the end of the summer, but it will also cover any budgetary shortfalls so that we won't have to take any more or shouldn't have to take any more loans throughout the year next year, and be able to pay this back and not have any draw line of credit by the end of last year. Actually, based on the budget that we presented at the last board meeting, projecting about a $1.2 million positive operating income at the end of the next school year. So our projected positive operating income this year was a little bit more than we had actually presented at the beginning of the year when we revised the budget in November. But then again, we're projecting an even greater positive income at the end of next year, and the ability for IA to now have a reserve, so that we won't have to, unless we want to do some sort of big projects or things like that, we won't have to draw on the line of credit or take any more loans.
So we're out of selling our receivables.
Yes.
Way out of that.
Way out of that.
Way out of that situation. And I just want to make sure that Stephanie,
I was
you
in the
reserved the budget and you looked at it closely, so you understand that when she's gone to transition, you feel comfortable in doing that.
So I've been in the last few weeks in the budget meetings. I was in this specific meeting as well with Delano. We were determining how much, again, not wanting to overpull. We looked at all the finances and what would be that kind of magic number, and came up with this. So I've been watching carefully. We are transitioning to our new charter back office provider. So I've also been in those meetings as well. So transitioning, learning, I've been paying attention to the budget presentations. When I came to apply for this position, I had gone back even, so I have a decent understanding moving forward, and we'll work hand in hand with our back office provider.
Okay, we're anticipating the August payment for the August receivable, like in August, and I can cover this loan we pay back to our bank.
Yeah.
That's anticipating.
So yeah, our anticipation is that when all of our receivables come in for this year, we'll be at about $500,000
So that'll be
positive operating income, but it won't be until the end of the summer.
And if we take this now, we will save ourselves the additional interest. So we'll be charged if we pay after.
And how long we project to use the money? 375,000. How long we use it? Or just approve the line, we're actually gonna
you're gonna approve
we're gonna take,
to draw it, but
Yeah,
then
draw
we
it.
can start paying it back as we receive as we start getting our receivables. It likely, we will have to keep some of it drawn, until February, likely not all of it, because we have that shortfall usually at the beginning of the school year, because we don't get the majority of our receivables, or the larger amounts of our receivables until the spring. So this actually will kind of cover both, getting us through what we kind of owed this year, until we get all of our receivables for this past school year, as well as covering, the shortfall in the fall of next year. So it would just be one draw on the line. And then as soon as we start receiving those receivables, we can start paying it back. But it should become, it should just be a one-time thing. Yeah,
That's what you're approving now is one
just
time.
a one-time draw. Yeah.
one-time draw for minimum 6 months, right?
Probably 6 months, although we can start paying it back. Next year, we won't have to hold the whole 375,000, for the fall of next year. We'll have to kind of look at our exact cash flows as we start next year. But we should be able to pay back probably about 100,000 of it, early before the February date.
Oh, okay, so 6 months, so we are taking this, I will
I
calculate.
think it would be
all,
about
you know,
18,000 if we were taking all of it until February.
Oh, yeah, so my 6 months of calculation is about $17,000.
Yeah, I think going from that right now until, I think I calculated out, it would be a little over 18,000 if we held the whole, if we held the whole draw.
No, so
through
that's,
February.
yeah, that's gonna be more than 18,000. What's
Yeah.
to 19,000?
Yeah, it was like 18,800 or so.
Something. All right. But just wanna get a. Yeah.
So, we had a couple
I'm sorry.
public comments around what was communicated last June, and that we weren't going to need to go out to let's say, sell more receivables or try to get additional monies. Can you maybe speak to why that situation might have changed?
So I don't know that it changed. When I got here, we definitely did not. We'd sold off all of our receivables, I believe until November, before, prior to me coming. And so, we weren't receiving any money at the beginning of the school year. I think Delano's on as well still.
Yeah,
So
he's still on.
he could talk to that a little bit, but, there was really no way to make payroll, when I first got here without selling off additional. So I was not here when whatever statements were made, about us being out of based, and we actually cut some of the expenditures after I got here to try to recoup some of that money. I think we were projecting to have an additional 2 or 3 teachers hired as kind of extra teachers that were in the budget. We actually didn't hire those additional positions because we didn't meet them for the number of students that we had, to try to recoup some revenue, or decrease some expenditures. But there really was no way to, I mean, our financials are very public and transparent. We had already taken out so many, or sold off so many receivables that's why at the beginning, we needed to sell off a couple of more receivables because we just weren't getting any income for the first couple of months that I was here. And luckily, we were able to find the lend donate option that provided us sort of a way out of selling off those receivables, and they've been great to work with, and a lot of our families actually donated to that to help us. So that was amazing that our community stepped up, and even other outside people stepped up so that we were able to get that money kind of as a bridge loan to get us from the point of selling off receivables to the point where we're actually able to just have a normal, line of credit. So instead of, spending, you know, several hundred thousand dollars in loan fees, we're able to just, you know, spend, you know, less than $20,000, to bridge that gap between our funding now.
So we have right now, we have like a 50-something days of catch, right?
We do.
Yeah,
We're-
50 days of catch. So when do we actually going to, if we don't take that loan? Well, we're gonna run 2 months, right?
We would run out of money in about a month and a half. Just because when we're looking at summer,
Right.
we have a lot of startup costs for next school year. So although it's, that 51 days is, or I think it's at like 56 days right now. That's based on an average per day cost. But we know that July and August are sort of more expensive months because we're buying materials for next year and we're, you know, getting ready, buying Chromebooks and things like that, to prepare for next school year.
I mean, is it possible we can take just draw the line of credit as we go?
So we're projecting that we'll need $350,000 to get us through paying off the lend donate loan right now until we get the rest of our receivables. Once we do that, then we can start paying off the line. But as of right now, that's what we're projecting that we'll need, based on the fact that we have to pay back the lend donate loan until we start getting, until we get the rest.
When was that due?
June 20th.
June 20th. Yes.
Yeah.
How much?
We took it was $1 million loan. So we definitely, you know, we've gained a lot of that back, and we're able to pay off vast majority of it. This is just to basically cover that difference between that and when we get the rest of our money at the end of December.
So my calculation is that you're gonna pay off the baseline for credit to $375,000. At the end of February, it's gonna cost $22,500 interest.
But luckily we'll be able to pay off about 100,000 of it early. So I think when I calculated it out, it was about 18.6 or 18.8.
That's 8 months. That's precise.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay back. Yeah, we're gonna pay back.
We can pay back some of it.
So we're not gonna grant them. Right. So that's why it's like, okay.
But even that is better than
Good.
300,000 or 400,000 we're paying a year.
Yep.
in previous
That's
years.
a total cost tuition.
Okay, any other questions? It's recommended the board of directors approve action item K. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Felipe. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Item L, approve adoption of multitudes as the IA reading difficulties risk screener for California Education Code 53008D on or before June 30th, 2025. The governing board of an LEA serving pupils in kindergarten or grades 1 or 2 must adopt at a public meeting one or more screening instruments from the list adopted by the Reading Difficulties Risk Screener Selection Panel after review of the adopted Reading Difficulties Risk Screeners by the IAA Reading Risk Screener Committee. Multitudes from the University of California, San Francisco Dyslexia Center was selected. LCAP Goal Action 2025-2026 LCAP Goal Action Goal 1, Action 11. Funding source not applicable. Budget financial impact, there is no cost. Okay, any comments on this other than what has already been presented? It's recommended the board of directors approve action item L. Is there a motion? Thank you, Molly. Happy to second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Did you vote?
Yes, I said aye.
You did.
Yeah, aye.
Okay, all right, let's do one more time, sorry. Okay, is there a motion? I'm gonna second. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes.
I like that it's free.
Yes. Thank you. I like it. It's good input. Okay, item M, approve adoption of Meizhou Chinese for elementary Mandarin. New Mandarin curriculum was piloted during the 2024-2025 school year by our Mandarin teachers. The teachers selected Meizhou Chinese for students in grades K through 5 as a core curriculum for Mandarin language arts instruction. The curriculum was shared and displayed at a parent workshop on May 29, 2025. It's our first adoption of a Mandarin core curriculum. LCAP goal action 2025-2026, LCAP goal 1, action 11, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not to exceed $9,000, already reflected in the 2025-2026 proposed budget. Any further comments?
What is the major Chinese?
That's very key.
That's very key.
The curriculum.
Like, I know, okay, what, no, I don't know. That's what they come from. But Meizhou's like a place in Sichuan. Yeah, Sichuan province. It's Meizhou Chinese, I'm just curious.
But I saw the curriculum.
It's actually a textbook, right?
And actually, yeah, it's actually a full curriculum.
All right.
They're very well done.
I'm just curious.
All right. Recommend the board of directors approve action item M. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, Felipe. Is there a second? Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Item N, approve the adoption of Easy Steps to Chinese for middle school Mandarin. New Mandarin curriculum was piloted during the 2024-2025 school year by our Mandarin teachers. The middle school teachers selected Easy Steps to Chinese, which includes levels for grades 6 through 8, as well as an advanced option. The curriculum was shared and displayed at our parent workshop on May 29, 2025. It's our first adoption of a Mandarin core curriculum. LCAP goal action 2025-2026, LCAP goal 1, action 11. Funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not to exceed $7,000, already reflected in the 2025-2026 proposed budget. Any further comments? Questions? It's recommended the board of directors approve action item N. Is there a motion? Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Felipe. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Okay, executive directors.
Here, or I can't tell. Be heard, but
I'll go quick. I did want to share that I was able to respond to all 17 comments that we had at our previous board meeting, and I will continue with the comments that we have tonight, adding them to a log that I'm keeping in order to kind of monitor communications and making sure that we're doing a good job of following up and being responsive. That was a side note. I do want to thank all of our staff, students, and families for a really positive end to our school year. So our promotions were amazing, very moving. Our 8th grade, because it's so small, it was so personalized. I was actually, when I got up to speak, I was kind of brought to tears for a moment. I do want to thank Brenda Foya from CABE, Coming, the Bilingual Association, as well as Cecilia Gonzalez, Lemus, also attended from OCDE, because we had so many students that qualified for the Pathway Awards in both 5th grade and in 8th grade, that they attended to celebrate our students as well. So that was wonderful. We started a new tradition. I'm very proud of that. We knew that whatever we did for our current 8th graders was going to become tradition, because they were our first, and we had a clap out that so exceeded my expectations. Even the 8th graders, all of our students in the entire school went around the whole school while our 8th graders walked, and the kids in all the grade levels cheered them on. They had personalized signs for them. It was a wonderful thing. We have videotapes of that too, and share that. Again, Tiffany held a wonderful Mandarin workshop. It was so informative. I could tell she did so much work. I did want to give her a little shout out. And then actually that same evening, there was a cultural experiment in our partnership with the Bashu School. And we had it over Zoom, and it was a school in China, and it was pretty neat how they coordinated it, because they were, each school, our students presented about Memorial Day being our patriotic holiday, and they had their presentation, and then each team walked the other school through like a hands-on craft. So I was even making things with clay. It was really well done, and what a great opportunity. We had a wonderful spring concert. I'd like to thank Ms. Shen for her work. Felipe and I were hanging out, and our students are so talented. It was amazing, the talent that we have. We did have a donation that I did want to thank. That we had a donation by Chrissy Yoko they're called Biddy Bao books for every student, 246 books for all of our students in TK through 1 to take home over the summer and practice their Mandarin. So we did have that. We wanted to thank them for that generous donation. The staffing update we've already talked about a little bit, but I am very proud of 150 applications for the positions that we have opened. I haven't seen that before, and that says something about people wanting to come and work here. So I'm very proud of that number, and that's all I have for my update.
Thank you. Dr. Kernan, would you like to say anything?
Yes.
No pressure.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for my wonderful time here at IAA. Working with the board has been wonderful. Our staff is great. We have the best students. So excited to come to school every day, although some of them said that they don't like to come to school. Once they get here, they all have an amazing time, and definitely don't want to go home at the end of the day. So that's a really huge testament to our staff and our teachers for just making it a wonderful learning environment for them. And I know that Dr. Henry is going to do a great job as the new ED here, and be able to kind of keep moving IA forward and making it, just continue to be such an amazing place. Again, a lot of the things that Dr. Henry talked about, we had such an incredible end to the school year with all the different activities. There were, 5th graders and 8th graders crying because they're not gonna, see each other. Although the 5th graders are gonna see each other, but I guess not for a couple of months. So just that, tight-knit community and how much the students, love going to school with each other and just love being here at IAA and with their different teachers. And I'm excited to see what the future holds for the school, and I know that it will continue to thrive and continue to grow.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the director's reports. Board directors, comments?
I just want to thank you, Amy, for all the hard work that you've done during this time. I know it was really difficult to come in cold and get the floor running, and that you had the new staff and everything that you had to deal with, and the students and everything, and the board. I know they can be a problem sometimes, so really appreciate the hard work. It was a lot of work. I don't think people realize just how much it is. Also, I know Grant's not here, but I want to really send out some kudos to him, because on the field day, he endured being in the dunk tank the whole day. And I can remember being a student and, dunking the principal. That was a big, the highlight of my end of the year. So really appreciate that he put himself out to do that. And Tiffany Zhang, of course, I can't say too much about her. You know, I kind of missed there was a little bit of talk about the Apple assessments and all that she scored in and stuff like that. That's a big plus for the school, you know, and that's a big deal. And I was in the meeting with her and she's just on top of everything. And she's a huge asset for the school. Very fortunate to have her here. I do have one item this one's for Stephanie. You know, we did that Bezos school program that we tried to do. One of the things I noticed was the audio video, our hardware and all that. Maybe I know we've got a lot of different things going on, but if we're hoping to do more of that, I think we definitely have to have an improvement there. And I really don't have the solution for that, but I think even on their side, it was a little marginal, it seemed to me, but I think we need to improve that if that's something a program we're going to continue. Maybe not just with them, but in other areas. So
we've had discussions with our new tech
Yeah.
person about adjusting schedules, making sure that we have the support we need, make sure that we don't have tech issues since the programs are so great.
yeah, and that especially with that one because of the time frame, right? They need to be available to help out in that situation. That's all I have.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Amy for your great work. Yeah, in the past year again, and especially during the transition period recently, give some time for Stephanie to kind of fully understand what's going on, the process, everything. I mean, you know, every time I'm sitting here just reading through, I mean, sometimes I read prior to the meeting, but sometimes I couldn't finish everything. And just sitting here very quickly, I'm a fast reader. But sometimes I just think, just to prepare all the documents, it's a huge undertaking. I mean, we do this every month, right? That's a huge undertaking because I'm a business guy. And when I read this, I was like, gosh, just too much to read. And you're gonna have to understand all that, and you're gonna have to prepare. And we just have an easy job to sit here to read. And you know, for you, you're gonna have to work with contractors, lawyers to prepare all the documents. And really, that's not easy. You know, I want people to know that because that's a huge work. A lot of details. You know, we're just readers, but you have to prepare it, execute it. It's just not easy. So for that, especially after you came on board, okay, I think on the documentation side, we did a much better job. I mean, just being very straightforward. Okay, we got a lot of more documents and well prepared. Okay, I really like that. I like reading, but I like the process. All right. So I just want to comment. I mean, as a professional, I think that you demonstrate a leadership of professionalism and to a great extent. That's not easy. Today again, we are sitting here. I heard a lot of comments talking about the transparencies, which almost everyone talk about transparencies. I think we actually just to be supplying all the documentations, everything, make this available. I think everyone has access, right? That's a part of the process to make the whole thing as transparent as possible. And I doubt everyone will bother to read through everything. Maybe Tiffany, Tiffany probably read it. I commented you on that. It's not easy. Yeah, not everyone. Okay, and truly, I mean, if my comment will be heard by some of the parents, I really do encourage them to read through the documents and be more open and talk to
from now on to Stephanie and to Grant, Mr. Schmidt. Today I was sitting here, especially when I was listening to some of the, students writing letters, fantastic letters to the board. I felt warm-hearted, right? I think, the kids are pretty mature, demonstrated their maturity. They care about the school. That's great. When I was a kid, I never wrote a letter to the principal and to the board members, but happy to hear some of the comments, feedbacks from the parents, from the students, and but we, ask Grant about it. We needed to have like a process. I'm sure we have a process. We have the right channels, right, to address some of the concerns, questions, issues raised. I mean, some are, pretty serious accusations. Teachers are yelling at students. But the others, I think it's just an understanding. Sometimes it's just a communication issues, right? But I'm sure with Stephanie's came on board. I mean, really understand what's going on. A lot of all this, I know you are reading that, you're taking care of that already. So hopefully in the future board meetings, we don't have to listen to all that. I'm not saying, we're gonna shut down, but the board meeting is board meeting. It doesn't mean we're gonna be here to address 100 comments, 100 emails. That beats the purpose of board meeting. That's just my suggestion, comments. I don't think that's a better use of a board meeting with so many comments. I mean, what if, you have 100 comments and everyone write a beautiful, fantastic email. So you're gonna read it, take 10 minutes to read it. Are we going to sitting here to listen to all that? I don't know. I mean, we just need to have a better process to address it and deal with this. Because otherwise, we have a 4.5 hours board meeting today. That's unprecedented. I was in company board meetings. We never had 4 hours, 4.5 hours of board meetings. Brad, that's my suggestion to you as the president of the board. And maybe we can, really kind of screen some of the questions and not necessarily to present that to everyone. And because you never know how many agenda items, you never know. I'm not saying to shut down. I'm not saying to shut down that, but I think there's got to be a better process, right? That's my comment.
So, Dr. Kernan, again, I want to say that your expertise, your knowledge, like what David said, really helped us this year. And you're so organized and you're so knowledgeable. I mean, there's so much, even though we're on the board, but some of the detail about school, organization, business on the school side, you were so knowledgeable. So thank you for sharing that. And I also feel like because of your knowledge and you always look ahead, because all the things you have done in this short a year really prepare us to protect our IIA so we won't get into trouble in the future. And you also taught us how to follow the guideline. And so thank you for both being so transparent and so helpful. And I also, Dr. Henry, you were only here, what, 3 weeks? But I feel like you've been here almost a year. And
I feel like I've been here
so both of you work so well together. And thank you for taking your time, get Dr. Henry familiar with the situation and work together. So I really look forward in the next year and yeah, both of you are just amazing. And I also want to, thank Grant, the principal. He's always so patient, so wise, so gentle. And I saw a couple of times that the way that kids walking by him, they feel safe. And they know this principal is very kind and they, smile at each other. And he's so approachable. So I feel like, we should give him more credit for it because he's just so humble and quiet. And also thank Tiffany Zhang. I came to the year-end meeting. She did a beautiful job, and we also see how the Chinese curriculum and also our Chinese teacher and the English speaking teacher, they work so closely this year. I mean, and so I want to thank the teacher, thank Tiffany Zhang for getting them together. And it's wonderful to see this year. And, teachers are happy. I walk around and ask a lot of teachers and the TA, they said they're working well together. So look forward to next year.
Right, thank you everyone for your patience for this board meeting. Just a couple announcements on my side. One, I wanted to announce the board recruitment process that we had opened up starting last month. It's been paused until further notice. And I just wanted to end with a special thank you to the staff and the parents for your support during the past school year. We had our first 8th grade promotion, and it's an amazing achievement for us, right? We started out as TK through 5th grade, just been creeping up, and we just had our first. So it's really, really exciting. I'm so glad we could start that tradition with the first graduating class. I think that's really tremendous. So thank you all for your participation. You give your time tirelessly, and we really appreciate it. Thank you for your expertise. Thank you both for all that you do. Dr. Henry, you definitely have come in and just taken the bull by the horns. So thank you very much. And we appreciate it. For those in the audience, thank you for being here and for sitting through and listening to us talk for hours. Okay, with that, we'll move on to adjournment. It's recommend the board adjourn the regular meeting of the Irvine International Academy Board of Directors on June 10, 2025. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Felipe. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, David. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Meeting adjourned at 10:30 p.m.
Executives.